Counting up the numbers, so register because we're counting up the numbers. People are like, oh, you're adopted by Caesar. I'm like, careful, you're talking to an emperor. Caesar was no emperor, he got murdered by Caesar. You're talking to an emperor. Caesar was no emperor, he got murdered by
Salvete amici. Nomen mihi est Decimus Aurelius Ingeniarius, Legatus Pro Praetori Australiae et Tribunus Plebis. Welcome to the Os Nova Roma stream this evening. This is the Roman Twitch channel for all things Roman themed, be it money, music, food, clothing, military, or crafting like we have here this evening. Or even some Latin practice, which we'll also be doing this evening as well. And I welcome you to join in. In fact, we could even compete and see how how quickly we can decline various nouns. I think we'll focus on the first and second declension nouns this evening. Well, that looked like a 5. Who's following along at home, eh? So we are broadcasting live from the eastern seaboard of the modern-day country of Australia. It's currently 10 a.m. Rome time. Hello to everybody in Rome. For those Nova Romans amongst us, it's the opening of the Ludi Romani today. The next 2 weeks or so is going to be action-packed, full of fun and competitions and excitement. Should be really good. Certainly looking forward to it. There'll be the usual quizzes, hopefully some online gladiatorial stuff. Oh, look, our background music is giving us some advertisements, I think. That's very good. We'll let them play. I've got some DCMA free music playing in the background, so Twitch doesn't get angry with us, or I guess any particular music providers. So we'll listen to the COVID advertisements in the background. Right. So this evening, and you'll see in front of us that we've got our setup here, which we've been crafting some paper soldiers. So if you look at our YouTube channel, you'll see the video from about 2 weeks ago where we were doing some work on some auxiliary Roman units, and that's what we have here in front of us right now. Hello there to Pharaoh Crab, Salwe, Quidagit. Great that you could join us this evening. Did you catch our stream maybe 2 weeks ago where we're looking at these paper soldiers? But here, so let's have a zoom in. So this is one of the auxiliary units that I've just completed today. If we bring that a little bit closer to the camera, dodge all the poor lighting and shadows that I have here. So you can see that the concept of these paper soldiers, and these are by a gentleman by the name of Peter Dennis. He's out of the UK. You can actually look him up online, Pete's Paper Boys, and he has a Facebook page as well, the Paper Boys page. And he's an artist, and he creates these fantastic layouts of all sorts of different eras from different points in history of these different armies, and you can battle them as well. So some rule sets produced by a gentleman by the name of Andy Callan, which accompanies all these paper soldiers, and you can battle these. So I'm creating a Roman army, and we're starting with some auxiliary units here, and you can see this particular base has 3 lines, and this is what they call a standard unit of their auxiliaries. Now they start in a little bit more of a primitive form here. They look like a sheet of paper that you can see on stream here. And what we eventually end up doing is we use like a blunt knife to score down all the lines, fold it into position, and then eventually when we glue the bits together, it'll come out looking like this. And then we'll use either a small pair of scissors or a precision knife, and we cut them out, and then that will be the finished product, like so. So I've, as an example, I've got some other things over to the side here. So this is one of my actual Roman units here. One of my standard units, so we'll get a little bit of a zoom in. So you can see all the scutums there, they're holding their pila. So that's the Roman units compared to auxiliaries, which are carrying, I guess, like a spear. Now, I can't remember what the name of the spear is in Latin. If you know it off the top of your head, please share it with us in the chat, because I have forgotten. You can also make various terrain. So this is an example of like a large pine tree. It's actually made out of essentially 1.5 trees, and it makes this triad appearance. So you fold a score along the edge, glue the other edge in here, and then you stick it into a base. And I use various different glues. So I've got this stuff is quite fine, kind of like a PVA glue, and then I use this clearer stuff for broader applications as well. I think this is an Officeworks brand called Study Mate, and this clear gum glue has been working quite well for me. What I appreciate about some of this clear glue is that it allows you to position a little bit before it starts to dry, and that's really good, particularly when you're lining it up on the bases, for example, that I've cut out. Right, so that's an example of some of the terrain. So we can move our soldiers over here and stick the tree there, or I'll show you some other examples. Here, and this is one of my favourites, so you can make both 2D and 3-dimensional versions. So what I have here is a Roman Scorpio or a ballista firing piece of artillery. And this is made out of very fine pieces of paper that are glued together, and you've got some 2-dimensional Roman legionaries there which are manning the device. Here we go. Usonius has popped in. A Husta, yeah, that's it. I believe they're carrying a Husta. That's good. Awesome. I'm pleased you could join us, Usonius. Well done. Yeah, that's it. A Husta. You've got it. Right, yeah. So this is the Roman piece of artillery, which is pretty cool. So pretty finicky, but it comes together all right. I really like these artillery pieces. So I've got 3 of those for my particular army now. And then of course you can build much bigger terrain pieces, such as houses. So this is just all paper. It all comes out flat, and you just slowly glue it together. And some of the designs done by Peter Dennis actually gives you some options, so you can have some modular designs here. So this is a particular house design that I did. So you can see this is a module that I've stuck on the side, as well as this, there goes my tree, as well as this back piece here. So you can choose where all the windows go. Here, you can see I've got a balcony. It's a little bit lopsided. That's right, it might be a little bit authentic. Maybe he's got rotting wooden posts. You can see the little stairwell in the corner. You can see the doorways and the windows in the background. And it's amazing, this is actually pretty rigid. So the secret here is to print on slightly thicker paper. So for most of your soldiers, or your standard units, you're printing on about 100 GSM thickness paper. And when you fold it in on itself, you actually get what is essentially 200 thickness, which means there's actually some integrity to the huster and the peeler. They're not going to bend as easily as perhaps a standard 80 GSM piece of paper. So there is these actually do hold pretty well. And look, because they're so cheap, you can always print and make more, right? But you'd be surprised at how good they actually hold. This stuff here is slightly thicker, so I use either 160 GSM or, in the case of the trees, 200 GSM paper. Now, normally, particularly with the trees, or if you've got anything large in height, I tend to use quite thick layers of paper on the bottom. And they, in fact, suggest using coins, like a penny or a 5-cent piece or something, to provide some weight. But if I've glued several different layers here of about 160 GSM paper, maybe 3 or 4 layers here, and that provides some fairly good sturdiness to keep it upright. But look, this hobby is definitely an indoor hobby. Wind will blow it over. You can't necessarily do this outside. So let's move some of our units to the side, because we're going to start very shortly in continuing to make some more units here. You can see me cut it out, and we can talk about all sorts of Roman stuff, all right? So that's what this channel is all about. So let's, look, the glorious and noble Gnaeus Lentulus has joined us. It is magnificent that you can be in the channel. I know you're very busy today, so I'm pleased you could stop by. Here we go. Usonius has provided us a quote there. That's fantastic. So for those who don't know, Usonius is new to our Nova Roma community. And he is quite a proficient poet, and he's studied a lot of the classics as well, and he often shares us and shares with us a lot of the things that he's currently working on and producing himself. If you are interested on anything, be it poetry or coins or food or language or Nova Roma in general, please head to our Discord channel, and you can find the link below in the About section here, or you can find it through our links on our YouTube channel as well. And you can join in Usonius and many others like us in the Roman community to talk about all things Roman, and we will certainly welcome you. And that's, as I just said, that's what this channel is all about as well. So tonight we're working on some paper soldiers with a bit of a Roman theme, and going to do some Latin declensions in just a moment as well. But other nights we might play some Roman-themed games, or we'll actually do some more intense Latin study sessions. You name it. We might even have some stuff on clothing. And we're looking to increase the amount of streamers that we have in this channel, particularly to help our American audiences and some of our European audiences, which are joining us at odd hours to be able to be with us live. We know we've got one other streamer from Germany, which is C. Artorius, one of our praetors this year, and he certainly likes to play some Roman-themed games. So yeah, we're always looking for new talent. So stay tuned, and hopefully we can continue to grow this channel. All right, so let's bring up our next screen here, the main with the camera. There we go. So you'll be able to see me work in the background here. We're going to grab one of these guys, and we're going to start cutting him out first. So I've got my precision blade here. Some people use a smaller pair of scissors. My pair of scissors here are actually quite large. Not particularly good, we've found, for cutting out really fine detail things like this. If you've got a smaller pair of scissors, that usually works, but I found that my precision blade is quite good here. And that is definitely my preference, to use a precision blade. What you do have to be careful of is, if you do this quite a lot, you can actually provide a lot of stress into your finger joints here. So it's perhaps good to alternate them. So definitely recommend a very fine pair of scissors. What you'll find, if you're using large pairs of scissors and cutting around edges here, you can adversely bend some of the finer details in these units as you cut. Whilst if you're doing it on a flat surface with a precision blade, then you can avoid some of that damage. Of course, cutting surface is quite important. I'm using one of the poorest examples, which is actually an old chopping board. You can actually get some proper cutting mats, particularly what they call self-healing. So that's definitely something I recommend, is to find a self-healing cutting mat if you're ever planning to do some of this work. Now, you can see on my left-hand side over here, I've actually just discovered this website today. It's called thelatinlibrary.com. I might be able to put that in chat. Thelatinlibrary.com. Hopefully I spelled that correctly. Library. Did I spell library correctly? Yes. And so you could even check this out as well. There may be declension.html at the end. But so this is fantastic. I only just discovered this. So this is going to help us practice declining our nouns. So this is a relatively new concept for me. You can see we're going to focus on the first declensions at the moment, and maybe we'll move on to the second declensions as we go through as well. So we'll do some paperwork over here, and we'll do some declinings as well. So first of all, let's type in. We'll do one right now. So let's work on insula, and as it's saying there, it means island. Insula. Now, as I understand, a majority of first declension words are feminine. There are some exceptions to the rule, that some more masculine words, such as nauta, I think, which means sailor, and agricola, which means farmer, for example. And they're both masculine words, but they have this a ending, which is normally a sign that it is a feminine word. In this case here, insula is feminine. It means island, and normally the default here is the nominative is that word. Now, often when these are displayed in your dictionary, it usually gives you a dash ending as well. It could be like dash I or dash AE in the ending, depending on what declension group, I guess, or what group of nouns that it belongs to. Now, I don't have the dictionary here in front of me. I've normally got, actually, I can show you, it's here on stream. Here we go here. So I actually brought this one little pocket dictionary recently. This is the Collins Gem Latin Dictionary. So this has both a Latin look-up side and an English look-up side, and we may not be able to see it on stream here because of the focus. I don't know whether you can see that very well, and I've got some very poor shadows and lighting, but you'll be able to see it provides endings at the end of the words to help show you some of the different cases. So yeah, I can very much recommend this little Gem Collins. A little bit smaller, easy to carry around, and great for looking up all your words, particularly when you're learning. Do you remember the days when you're learning English, for example, for those English speakers amongst us, as a first language, and before the days of the good old Google Internet, you'd have to be looking up words in the dictionary, particularly if it was a new word, if you didn't know what it meant. Right, so I just had a question in chat here, I see, from Brenda. She goes, are these figures for a particular game? So let me pull across another title here. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. So this is one of the booklets you can buy, and you can see this logo here, Helion and Company. So if you look up that website, Helion and Company, this is where you can get some of Peter Dennis's books. They can download the complete book sets with both, two different armies and terrain as well. So this particular one that I'm cutting out from is one called War Game: The Roman Invasion. And yep, so you can see by Peter Dennis here, and this provides both Britain, or Islanders as they call them here, as well as the Romans. And this provides also the rules for combat, so it shows you how to make them, which is pretty cool. That's more instructions there, and then it gets into the actual pieces themselves. So this is the layout. print them straight from, a color printer here, and then you can see the strips that I'm talking about here. So here's the example which I've cut out ready. So if we can go to the Roman side, we're more interested in the Romans right now. There you go. So here's some of the Romans. And you see on the right hand side over here, you can have different front ranks. So these are second and third ranks in the strips here, and then along the top and down the sides, you can pick what the front rank looks like. So you can either have them with their peeler out ready to throw, or they can have their gladius or gladii out ready to strike, which is just here. And they have all the different variations of units, so different coloured scutum, and then of course also all the commanders. Here's what those artillery pieces look like, the scorpion or ballistas. That's what they start looking like, and that's how you eventually cut them out and glue them together. Quite fine in detail, as you can tell. And right, you can wargame with these. These are a tabletop wargaming feature. Archers, elephants, there we go. Testudo formations. So here's some of the terrain features. So there's some stuff for the Britons. Some contubernium tents, fortifications here. Some of their trimarine boats. And then I think towards the back here, there's the trees. There you go. There you go. And here's some of the rules here. So this is where it goes into wargaming with the paper soldiers. And there are some addendums on the website. So if I think here, if I'm not mistaken, PetesPaperBoys.com. I think that link's correct, that I've just put it in chat there, and I'll put this up in the description on the YouTube channel as well. Pete's, or Pete, it could be Peter's Paper Boys, it could be wrong. Somebody tell me if that link doesn't work. And yeah, you can, for really cheap, you can buy these PDF booklets or individual units and make up entire armies. There's even ones for the Roman Republican period. You can buy the Carthaginian forces, Napoleonic era, American Civil War, you name it. It's a fantastic little system, much cheaper for those that want to get into wargaming or tabletop gaming, who still want to do some of this crafting element here, get some pride in your armies, or make up particular armies that you want, but not have to spend a fortune on it. So that's I think that's why these are really good. Yeah, all right. So that's this. So this is one of the booklets. So I've brought a couple of different booklets for Peter Dennis from that website now. So a reminder: head to Helion and Company. So Google Helion and Company, and if you look up Wargame, or even if you just Google straight again Wargame, and you can see here some of the different books here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see better. So everything from the Spanish Armada, the Jacobot 45, 1066, War of the Roses. Here you go, Civil War. Revolutionary War. There's that Roman invasion book that we're looking at right now. Some stuff on castle assaults, English Civil War, War of Spanish Succession. There is so much content here, and he continues to work on new content. Look up his Facebook page as well, the Paper Boys page on Facebook. You get some live updates from Peter Dennis himself on what he's working on, what he's releasing, and you can connect with the community there. Great little community, always sharing what they're currently up to. Yeah, so that's it. So this particular one that we're working on is from the war game, The Roman Invasion. There we go. All right, so let's go back to declining our first word here, insula. So I guess I tend to do this in a particular order. Yeah, there you go. So Brenda said, it is pretty awesome. She goes, thanks. Playing with paper toys is a very Victorian concept. She loves it. Yeah, and I do too. I only wish I discovered this sooner. This has been fantastic. It's absolutely taking up an enormous amount of space. I'm building an entire legionary camp on my table in my office here, and I'm running out of room. I've got tents and trees, and I've got an entire cohort lined up now. Hopefully I can post some more images for you guys later. But yeah, I certainly enjoy it. Okay, so when I go to declining nouns, and I'm hoping to do this much quicker, but I think in a particular order, kind of like a box like it's laid out here. One of the first rules I know, particularly for these female nouns, is I know the plural form of the nominative, and you can do this with me along at home. Now, because there's that short delay, I won't be able to cheat, but if you know what the answers are as we do this, type it in the chat, hit enter, and let's see if you're right. So over here, we're going to do the plural first, so insulae. We see that A-AE ending over here. I was really trying to, there you go, that's that -AE ending, insulae. And we're often given the genitive form in the book as well, so it's what is referred to as the possessive, and we know that is normally the same here as well, or at least that's what I recall. So of insulae. The usual one I usually know next is the accusative, so when there's an action being performed on it, so somebody is, say, invading the island. If you know how to say that in Latin, please post that in the chat or the comment section in YouTube. But if somebody is going to perform an action to the island, to cut all the trees down of the island, or invade the island, or visit the island, that we're going to use the accusative here in the singular, unless it's islands, and that would be different. But that will be, at least what I recall, insulam with an M. So normally when I see this M on the end of a word, I'm thinking, okay, we're looking at an accusative here. So there we go. So insulam. So. And then I like to bounce around a little bit here as well. So I'm going to come back up here to the genitive. I usually tend to, based on once I know what the accusative is, I get a clue about what the genitive plural is. So when multiple islands are in possession of something. And if I'm not mistaken, it should be insularum. We see this AURM ending, or I guess based off the nominative, we see this RUM ending. I believe that spelling is correct. But what we'll have to do, we'll eventually be able to check our answers here, and it'll tell us where we got it right and where we got it wrong. So we have insularum, the plural genitive. So now this is where I start, I guess, a little bit further stuck. So I understand that I think the ablative and the dative are the same. And I believe that should still be, at least in the singular, should still be insula. I think the dative and the ablative are the same. I know the ablative should be. The dative perhaps I may be a little bit more unsure about. So if we come over here, I think the plural is insulis, and this one will be the same, insulis, and this might be insulas. I know the is ending is common between some of the dative and the ablatives on the first and second declension nouns. This is what my guess is so far. So this may not be right. Hope you're not taking this as the correct answers. We'll check the answers in just a minute. But this is my guess. If you have a different concept, tell me what you think it might be. So yeah, the nominative, insula. The plural, insulae. The genitive, which should be the same as the plural nominative, in this case will be insulae again. The genitive plural will be this unique ending here, insularum, and I think I've got that spelling correct. We will see that in a minute. The accusative I'm more confident of next. That should be insulam. And then, again, unique here should be the plural insulas. And then I think the dative and the ablative should be the same. And that should look the same as the nominative, insula. And then it should be insulis in the plural, I think. I'm only about 85% sure. All the people who actually speak Latin, probably hiding in amongst the chat or watching this on YouTube in the future, are like, no, that's not right. Okay, so let's check answers. Let's see how we go. Ready? Okay. I think I got one thing wrong here. I got the dative. I got a dative wrong. So apparently, I got everything right. And yeah, you can see the answer as well. So I got the nominative, and so apparently the dative here should be insulae. Okay, so the dative for first declension words here should also be insulae, same as the genitive, but the ablative is still the same. So we got, I don't know, how good's your percentages? We got about 90-95% correct there. Oh yes, I'm going to make sure I don't pronounce the U as U. Insula, as opposed to insula, should be insula. So it's, yeah, so as Lentula says, it's not insula, it's insula. Insula. Yes, there we go, insula. Thank you. Gratias, very much appreciate the ongoing correction. Right, so that's referred to as a short U, insula. Good, pronunciation is important. Yes, right, but without the y sound, insula. Okay, good. That's very good, very helpful. Okay, so there's our first word done. Right, so I was nearly correct. Nearly correct. I just got the dative singular wrong there. Yes, it's definitely an English thing to pronounce U's as a U sound. And I think they do the same in Bahasa, in Indonesian. I used to study that. I can't recall many phrases or words for that matter. I know more Latin now than I do of Bahasa. Okay, so there's one word done. So let's come back over to our work over here. Let's move some of our units out of the way here. What I've also been producing is the command unit. So for each base of 6 units, you have usually a command unit. Now in this particular case here, they have a cornu player, a centurion, a signifer, and they usually have an Optio equivalent. Now these are auxiliary units, and normally an auxiliary unit is often a foreign force or non-citizens. Sometimes they may not be called centurions or Optios, but I guess in the Roman context, these could be, people within the bounds of the Roman Republic back in the day who are doing their 25-year service before they become citizens, and in this case they're going to use the Roman terminology. So they have a centurion here which will lead 6 units, which is about 80 men a century. Very good. So compare that to the standard units next to them there. You can see the slight differences. So we'll put both of those blokes there as an example, as inspiration. Now you'll notice I have a couple of what is essentially paddle pop sticks here. Well, I use the term paddle pop. I don't know if that term resonates globally. Australians will know what a paddle pop is. I don't know about the rest of the world, but we call these paddle pop sticks. What does the rest of the world call them? If you're not from Australia or New Zealand, tell me what you'd call these sticks, these pieces of wood here. So Brenda asks, should the inflection be on the in rather than the su? Potentially. That is a great question. I don't know where the emphasis should be placed here in terms of the syllables. Maybe if Gnaeus Lentulus is still in the chat, he may be able to clarify insula as opposed to insula. There you go, the in is stressed. Great feedback. Insula, meaning island. As opposed to insula, it's insula. Insulae, insularum, short U. Good. We're all learning. Fantastic. All right. So I use these sticks often in the work that I'm doing. So I use one stick here, and you can see I've cut a little bit out of it. I use this as my glue applicator. So when I'm applying my glue, I use this to spread it, right? Like you're spreading a knife with butter over some bread or something. And that helps to distribute the glue evenly. The other two here, I help to actually push it down. So you'll see here, I've got the spare bases ready to go. And when I glue a new unit down onto the base, once I've cut it out, I will use these other paddle pop sticks, or whatever you want to call them. And if they're all standing upright, they'll be much better when they're standing. I use them to get in between the units and help to push the piece down onto the paper, and I do that between each rank, and that helps to evenly flatten the base out right along the edge, provide a little bit more even distribution front and back there as well, and that will mean that it's completely glued down. There's no air bubbles or air holes, and it'll be nice and flat in the end. So I found that quite handy to use as opposed to anything else, because it's a little bit too narrow for fingers in there, for example. So that's what my multitude of sticks here are for. Now look at that. We've done lots of talking so far. haven't cut anything out. So let's start with one of these front ranks here. So get the fine blade in there, like so. So we've got lots of Latin talk this evening. That's very good. There we go. We're learning about pronunciation too. If you're watching this in chat. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, you can still come to the Twitch channel. So that's twitch.tv/OsNovaRoma. And this video will be there for at least a month. So you can actually come back and look at the chat. And you can see the great conversations that are happening right now between some Nova Roma citizens and some other fans of Roman things, talking about Latin pronunciation and declensions. And it's really great when you have somebody as experienced and as wise and as profound as Lentulus in the chat here. He is perhaps one of the core people, the lifeblood of Nova Roma. We have much to thank, and Nova Roma has much to thank for his existence and his presence. So it's a privilege that he's spending a little bit of time here in the channel with us today. So thanks be to him. Gratias. Always appreciate his support. So that's fantastic. Very good. Slowly cutting around. So that's why, again, I like the precision blade. Slowly cutting around the helmets of each of the units here. It's so fine I can even cut around what appears to be the neck pieces of the helmets from the back, and you can still get those quite visible down the sides of the shoulders here. So now we're starting to get a little bit loose, and see that should just separate. There we go, over into my paper trash pile here. You do come up with a little bit of paper waste, but provided your recycling is good, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. There we go. Now, and then I go back over, often you'll get some daggy bits here, so I'll get in there with the knife sometimes, a little bit of scraping helps, and you can see we've still got some white matter here on the end of the huster. Thanks to Usonius for pointing that out before. Pharaoh Crab has made a great observation. In case, very hard to look at anything Nova Roma without seeing Lentulus' name. That's right. But to his credit, he is doing a lot of work to train and provide mentorship to many other citizens to fulfill all the various public positions and offices to continue our global cause of Roman education and our symbolic nation. So yes, his name is quite elaborate, and he has been around for nearly since the beginning, and particularly with his knowledge of ancient Rome and that of the Religio Romana, or the Cultus Diorum, and then of course the Latin language. He is always going to be, I guess, a centerpiece. We're talking about the use of pronunciation from Latin speakers. They tend to use the medieval pronunciation. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, natural to their own tongue. They wouldn't lengthen the vowels, I see, as it doesn't fit their natural accent. Yeah, right. So I'd be interested to, who, potentially the Spanish is probably the answer here, but out of all the various languages in the world, who is able to adapt to the Latin language pronunciation the easiest? Some elements are a little bit hard for the English voice box. A lot of people struggle to trill their R's if they haven't done that before. I think I'm getting pretty good at trilling my R's. They do that in Bahasa, in Indonesian. So if we take the word irata or iratus, iratum, there's an R in there, which means essentially that word means angry, if I'm not mistaken. And there's an R in there, and that's trilled. I don't know how much of an emphasis there is on the trill. He wanted a big laugh smiley, couldn't find it. Yes, Lentulus does indeed love Nova Roma, and today, of course, right, is in fact her 23rd birthday. We are building, we are crafting, we are practicing our Latin pronouns, all in the name of the 23rd birthday of Nova Roma. What a great day! What a great day! I was wondering why I felt so good today, because I was really productive at work, had a good day, and then of course I get to come on here and do some Roman things on my usual Monday evening Australian time. So that's why it is a birthday, and a birthday to be celebrated. It's particularly Nova Roma for me has become a core piece of my life. I do much work now for Nova Roma, looking to head the growth of Nova Roma here in Australia and New Zealand, which we call the province Provincia Australia. And some have asked me, so if Provincia Australia includes New Zealand, why then is there not more of a nod to our New Zealand brethren across the pond, as we say? And I spoke to actually one of our current serving consuls about 2 years ago on this very matter, and he provided me an excellent explanation, which I'll hope to paraphrase and shorten the story. But that's Consul Q. Arius Nauta, quite a wise individual himself. And he explained to me, he said, look, the naming of Provincia Australia, it's not necessarily about acknowledging the modern day countries there, right? It just happens to be a name based on the major geographical piece in the region, and Australia is quite a large landmass in Oceania. Or how do we say that in Latin? Is Oceanus. I'll be able to be corrected there. And right, some other suggestions have been put forward, like Terra Australis or something else to suggest something a little bit more accepting of our New Zealand friends. But it's not about national identity. It's about our Roman culture and heritage, and potentially what the Romans may have named this part of the world. Now, I think Australia in its own right is actually descendant from Latin Australis, I believe, which means southern thing or southern land, and I'm sure I'll be able to be corrected on that if you do know. And that was also part of the potential options that were offered up. But right, it's all about our Roman identity, and I guess there's many identities to Rome, and even back in ancient times, to be a Roman meant many things to many people. But there were core values, our virtues. If you look on our Nova Roma website, we go into our virtues, and there's actually a really great groups.io discussion group which talks about our Roman virtues. And there's a lot of things in there that you'd expect to see, to fulfill and be a great Roman citizen. We're getting there with this piece. We're nearly there. Just sort of sharpen up this hasta, spear points, and we've got a little bit of white space over here. So talking about Provincia Australia. So yeah, that's a brief explanation. It's not so much about national modern day identities, but more about what is the major geographic. Look, if New Zealand was bigger, they'd probably call it Nova Zealandia or something, potentially, to name this province. So just because it's called Provincia Australia, it's by no means excluding anybody in this region. It just happens to be the major geographical landmass here, and it's all about our Roman identity. So that's a question I often get asked. And I might even post some of his more direct words on some of our forums or in our Facebook group. If you look up Os Nova Roma on Facebook, for example. Or you can even head to the Provincia Australia and New Zealand Nova Roma group. I think it's just called Provincia Australia Nova Roma now. If you look that up in Facebook, please feel free to join us there. And you'll get some more personalised provincial announcements for those who are interested in Nova Roma in the Australian and New Zealand region. All right, we're looking pretty good there. So I've done all the sides and the top of our front rank unit here. And here we go. So while we admire my handiwork here, Lentulus has provided some more text in the chat. So it goes, for example, his province is called Pannonia. It comprises of Hungary, Chechnya, Slovakia, Slovenia until recently, while in fact only half of current-day Hungary was called Pannonia in Roman times. However, this was the most prominent word that could be associated, I guess, with this region, so hence the name. So yeah, where possible, we try and use the original Roman names for provinces. But of course, globally, that's not always possible. And right, it's based on a major association or a major piece of geographies. And great, there's another example with Pannonia. So thank you for sharing that. That was good. All right, so as we're talking about this front piece here, it's nearly there. But what we do with the front rank compared to, I guess, the second and third ranks is we also cut out the gaps between the legs as well, and that provides a little bit more definition. And particularly if you do some work with the front rank piece here, a lot of people tend to grab their scissors or maybe cut it a little bit, and what that does, it makes it look a little bit more like grass. And by cutting the feet out from the front rank, you can potentially make it a little bit more authentic. I mean, people do some amazing things with bases. If you look up paper soldiers on the internet or online, people have made some really heavy bases with different materials to make it look even more realistic. So that's pretty cool. I've just kept it pretty standard with just some thick paper base for now, but I might do some experimenting, making the bases look a little bit more livelier into the future. All right, so let's take a break from cutting. Let's go back over to this side of your screen and we'll do another practice. So let's hit the new word button on the latinlibrary.com/declension or decl.html. And we've got a new word here, which is puella. Puella. So before we have a go here, we've got some more text in the chat. So Naas Lentulus says, yes, and New Zealand expects to be its own province as soon as possible anyway, so its name doesn't need to be permanently built into the name of Provincia Australia. I mean, that's right. Nova Roma, and particularly our Senate, will make decisions based on where, I guess, the key population growth is, and certainly if the citizen mass gets to such a point in New Zealand, it can perhaps be its own entity. with its own governor, appointed legate to look after that area. And I certainly am hoping to see more and more citizens from New Zealand. In fact, I think we've just had one apply recently, who I've been speaking with. So I look forward to seeing some more of them and some more of our neighbours from across the small sea there. All right, so let's head back over to the side of the screen again, and let's do some declensions with our word here, puella, which means girl. And for many people learning Latin, they'll often learn this word fairly early on. Another word ending in A, first declension, female. We know what the nominative is going to be here. It's going to be puella. So we're going to try and remember the Latin pattern from last time in these boxes. For those non-Latin speakers out there, can you remember? Let's see if I can remember. So we've got puella here. I understand the ablative is going to be the same. Let's put that in right now. Puella. We know what the plural is going to be. Puella as opposed to puella, as we were mistaking with insula. It's actually insula. Insula. So here with puella, we're going to have puellae. There we go. Put that ae ending on the end for the plural. And that is also the clue for the genitive in this case, the possessive, puellae. Good. All right, slowly getting there. We know what the accusative is going to be. That little sneaky M letter, puellam. Puellam. So when an action is being performed on the girl, speaking to the girl, yelling at the girl. So that's the accusative. Now, we know, based on bouncing around, we can know what the genitive plural is. Puellarum. And I'm hoping I get the spelling correct here. We get a couple of letters at the end. Plural of genitive, puellarum. Let's go down to the dative and the ablative, which should be the same here. So that should be puella. Now, I'm going to make sure I get this spelling correct. I want to say it's puellalis, but I don't think that's correct. I feel like I want to do this, but I don't think that's correct. I'm not confident about the spelling here. I'm not confident about the spelling. That would make this puellas, if I've got that correct. And the dative here apparently is the same, if I'm remembering the pattern from last time. What are your thoughts? Throw them in chat before I hit the check answers button, which is level in down here. Before I hit that button, and we'll have the answers down in this piece down here. So if you notice something's wrong, throw it into chat right now. Here we go, puellis. There we go. So I had an inkling. Thank you for that correction. I had an inkling that spelling didn't look right. And that's something that I've found, particularly when you're dealing with declensions, is if it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. So the dative and the ablative here are in fact puellis. Yeah, it didn't look right still having the A there. So trust your gut instinct. Let's take that out. And if we hit check answers, it should all be in the black. There we go. So we got the right. So already we've learnt a little bit more. We're getting that dative correct. That's good. Very good. We did much better that time. Well, I did much better. How did you do at home? How did you do at home? Did you do that quicker than I did? Definitely need some more practice. Okay, so let's go back to our cutting and stuff now. Down here with our units. So it's a little bit far off there on the camera, but I'm now cutting in between the legs of the units. Down the straights here, under the shield or the scutum. Pull out the pieces. There we go. There's one side. Let's do the side of this guy's leg here. So while we're doing some more cutting here, let's start up a new conversation topic, unless you want to continue talking about one we've already talked about. Perhaps what interests you in ancient Rome? If you're here watching the channel right now, how many viewers do we have in the chat? I mean, it's telling me 7. I don't know how accurate that is. If it is 7, that's one of the largest viewerships this channel's had, at least in a while. So thank you, gratias, to everybody that is watching and tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit that follow button. That'll help us to grow this channel and it would help us to bring you more Roman-themed content, both in general and from Nova Roma. And then, of course, particularly if you are a Nova Roma citizen and you are actually interested in contributing to this channel, where we're looking to grow this for and on behalf of Nova Roma, please get in touch with the Provincial Council of Provincia, Australia, or you can contact us through any of the means through, you can DM me here, through the Twitch, or you can contact us through YouTube or on the Facebook, whatever method you want. And let's have a chat. If you want to talk about or share or do anything Roman-themed, broadcasting to the world like we are here on this Twitch channel, please, we'd love to hear from you. That's what we're all about. Anything Roman, we'd love to share and talk about it, discuss it. There's lots here that fascinates everybody. Yeah. So what brought you to ancient Rome? What brought you to Nova Roma potentially, if you are a Nova Roma citizen? I'm always interested to hear people's stories about how they discovered the fantastic history of Rome, or what has them continuing to study it in some form. Here we go. Naeus Lentler says, I attribute the crowd to the fact that we are holding the birthday party of Nova Roma. Yeah, right. So everyone's out, everyone's celebrating. We're celebrating the 23rd birthday of Nova Roma today. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to the Ludi Romanus, which commences today. We have some a great message came out from the Aedilis Corulus, and I've seen him before. He often hosts some magnificent events. I myself have participated in various quizzes in the past. I've won myself some authentic Nova Roma coinage, some Nova Roma themed pins. So look, entry is free for Nova Roma citizens, and of course becoming a Nova Roma citizen is also a free process as well. And then you can participate in these competitions and potentially even win prizes, accolades, and of course census points for those that are interested in climbing the social ladder within our society. Very exciting, very exciting. Some people appreciate some of those elements. I like some of the physical prizes, which are pretty cool when they're on offer. So I hear Pharaoh Crab said, I might get in contact with you guys when my citizen application is processed. Well, that's great. I hope your citizen application doesn't take too long. I understand that our censorial office is very busy this year, and I believe our consuls are heading that department. So we are seeing some delays with citizenship applications, and that happens from time to time. So be patient, hang in there. Some can wait a few weeks. Hopefully yours doesn't take too long. Oh look, we're already solving registration live on air right now. Looking in the chat, so that's fantastic. Great to see new people joining in. And look, as I just said, becoming a Nova Roma citizen is free. It's a fairly simple process. The most important part is selecting your Roman name. This is a very special process, a very sacred process, and a name it means a lot. So particularly with the censorial office, we try to make sure that your chosen Roman name is as authentic as possible, with a praenomen, nomen, and a cognomen of generally a Roman origin, although some Greek is accepted as well, because there were Greek influences in ancient Rome, of course. And the censorial department, usually headed by the censors or their staff, will make sure that your chosen name is acceptable and follows conventions and traditions, and they will help you select one if it's not so much the case. And then once you have your name, you become a Nova Roma citizen, and you can participate with the rest of our society and join our forums and share your views and what you like and what you dislike about ancient Rome. And there's plenty of online forums for you to join and participate in. So for those umming and ahhing or thinking about it, look, it's simple, it's free, so why not? So head to novaroma.org. You'll find some links there about how to become a Nova Roma citizen. Of course, if you're an Australian or New Zealand resident in Provincia, Australia, you will find the province page on novaroma.org as well, and you can even find a specific application there as well. It doesn't matter, whichever way you apply, you'll be able to become a citizen for free, which is great. So you can see I'm holding up to the camera. I think I'm finished cutting this piece here now. It looks pretty good. You can see we've cut out in between the legs. If you can see my poor lighting with my poor camera. Maybe I'll move it back a little bit. There we go. So there's a front rank done. So we'll add him to some of the other front ranks down here. Now what we're going to work on is one of the bases here. Okay, so we've actually got 2 ranks to cut out here, and they're already which came from the original strip, if I pull that back up on camera. So that's how it started its life as a strip. We scored it, we cut it and glued it down, and now it looks like this. So that's what we're going to work on next. So let's go back over this side now. Let's go practice a new word. So let's hit, we'll do maybe 2 more first declension words, and then we will move on to second declension, okay? Okay, so here we go. Our new first declension word over here, and you can see up the top over here now, is the word silva. Now you could say silva if you like. I think the classical pronunciation is anything that looks like a V is in fact a W sound, like the W in English. So I'll say silva in the classical Latin. Ecclesiastical, does that use a V sound or a W sound for those Latin speakers amongst us? What does ecclesiastical say about the letter V or the letter U here? But for us it'll be silva, and that means forest apparently. So I haven't actually come across silva before, so this is new to my vocabulary, or is it vocabularum? Good to see some more conversations in chat about citizenship registration. I hope that gets resolved. It looks like we're resolving it on the fly there. That's fantastic. But yes, we're certainly looking to Pharaoh Crab, the user on here, joining our Nova Roma community. If you haven't already, and you may already be, please join us on the Discord. More and more people are joining our official Nova Roma Discord, and as I said before, you can find that link down in the About section or the Twitch channel here, or of course the link should be available on our YouTube. I'll put it in the description once this goes up onto YouTube as well. So yeah, join our Discord. That you don't have to be a citizen to join us on there. And our good friend Ausonius, who was on the channel before, our poet, he's on there as well, regaling us with some of his latest work of an ancient and classical theme. So that's wonderful. So we'd love to talk to you about whatever your interests are, and maybe you might even consider Nova Roma citizenship down the track. Okay, so we're over this side of our page at the moment. We're going to do silva. So let's do the nominative singular at the moment, which is going to be the same as the word there, silva, and we've been learning that the ablative is also going to be the same here. So for those that don't know, and the ablative is something that's definitely eluded me for a long time, and I've only just started to learn what the ablative is. Now before I was saying ablative. I think it's perhaps quite an Australian pronunciation, but I heard somebody use the word ablative in its pronunciation. I think that's much better. So I have the ablative and the nominative as opposed to the nominative up the top here, and we have the ablative. I much prefer those pronunciations. How do you say it? Vitamin, vitamin, Caribbean, Caribbean, potato. So the ablative is all about is a case that references where it is in space relative to something else. So if you're saying it's with something or in something or about something, that's normally when the ablative will come into play there. I'd like to try and recite some more examples, but I'm still learning. If you know some great ablative examples, please share them in the chat or in the comment section on YouTube when this eventually goes up there. So in this case, the ablative of a first declension word such as silva will also be the same as the nominative up here, silva. All right, so let's try and do this a little bit quicker. So we have the genitive, which should be, I was going to write insular again there. That's not the word we're doing. It's going to be silvae, and the plural, of course, the nominative is also going to be silvae. Ooh, let's spell that right, silvae. The accusative should be look at this spelling right. No, I'm still writing island. Insula. Silvam. We're going to do, this will be, I do it again. Silvaorum. Let's just double check that. Silvaorum. I think that is, I have an inkling that doesn't feel quite right to me, but let's assume that's right for the moment. The dative is also going to be silvae. The accusative is going to be silvalas. Oops, silvalas, spell that correctly, and this should be silvalis. I think we're going to move the A here. Silvalis, silvis, as opposed to silvalis, silvis. There may be an A, so this is where I got confused before. So we saw before with puella, the A was actually taken away. So this is what I'm going to go with at the moment. So let's do. In fact, let's not double check. We tried to do this quicker. Hit check answers. Okay, I've got 2 wrong. Let's have a look. So I got the Oh, I did actually write on it. How come you guys didn't tell me in chat that I wrote Insulai? That should be Silwai. And of course now Silwarum. I had an O here for some reason. I had an O. It's actually Silwarum. Silwarum. There we go. So I got 2 wrong there. Silly mistake because I was still thinking about islands, not forests. My geography is terrible. There we go. All right, we'll do one more of these in our next little break, and try not to talk about islands anymore. Arum, yeah. Okay, right, so let's go back to cutting. So we're now going to start cutting here. So one of the things you've got to be careful of once you've glued these down, and I guess you really can't do this any other way until you've glued it, is you've got to be careful that you don't actually cut through the base. I've done that before where I've laid it down on my cutting surface and I've accidentally cut, or I've had the base underneath here and I've cut through and that's either wrecked it. I think I actually saved it by gluing some extra paper down, but save yourself some trouble. Fold them all out of the way, and that's the beauty about these. It's nice and flexible, and in fact when you first finish cutting them out in this form here, you can see the base is just slightly warped there, right? Ever so warped, and that's from the glue drying process. The best part about these is they stack really flat, so you can gently lay them down, including the front rank, and they lay almost really flat there. But what you do is you put that under a heavy set of books or whatever, a bunch of heavy objects, and that will flatten it all out. So when you stand all the ranks back up again, the base will be nice and flat. You won't have any ground pieces sticking up like this corner here, and they all stand up back straight again. But it's good for storage. So you can take mass armies in Tupperware containers or lunch boxes, and they all lie flat. And so you're going to take an entire army with you somewhere, somebody's house or a community centre, wherever you're having a battle, and then set them all back up, stand them all back upright, and away you go. Compared to more expensive plastic or metallic figurines, which you've got to have gigantic cases to carry large armies, you can carry around significantly sized paper armies for relatively little real estate, which is pretty darn awesome, I think. Pretty darn awesome. All right, so we're going to fold our base out of the way here of our second and third rank, our main part of the base. Lay that down and let's commence our cutting. For some reason I always start on the right hand side, and I like to work across. People have their own patterns that they use to cut these out. So in our last cutting little bit before, we were talking about what brought you into Nova Roma, or what interests you about ancient Rome, while we're here celebrating the 23rd birthday of Nova Roma. Founded in about 1998 as a not-for-profit incorporation in the US state of Maine, although that may have been updated to Maine at some point in its life, but that's where it's currently incorporated as a non-for-profit charitable educational institution that runs itself as a living history society, so that to the point there where we learn not through PowerPoints or lessons formally as such, but by living it. We are living Romans, living in a somewhat digital society, but we often try to meet up face-to-face and physically. We have many physical face-to-face events when COVID is not strangling the world. And that's how we learn. That's how we learn the Roman virtues and Roman history, by undertaking the living history of our symbolic nation, a nation that is celebrating its 23rd birthday today. So very, very exciting. Some people call it reenactment, and I guess in parts, yes, technically that's true. We do technically kind of do some reenactments, but we like to take ourselves a little bit more seriously than that. We like to do things accurately, and as I said, we like to live it. And that is often the best way to learn something as well. Learning particularly about the Roman politics of the day, of the Roman Republic, the cultus diorum, as I mentioned, the Regia Romana, so the worship of the Roman gods, or any gods for that matter. Nova Roma accepts those of all denominations. We encourage you to explore what it means to be Roman with the connections to the Roman gods, but you are free to practice whatever religion you wish within Nova Roma. After all, the ancient Roman Republic and the Roman Empire had many, many religions within its jurisdiction. After all, we know that Judaism and Christianity and, of course, all the various cultus of the Roman gods through its heyday. So we are accepting of every background in Nova Roma, which is wonderful. Which is great. So yeah, whatever your background, whatever your passion, whatever your history, if you have any remote interest in something Roman, please join our communities. We'd love to hear from you. Let's talk, let's chat, let's explore, let's learn. I've been in Nova Roma for coming up to 2 years now. And I've enjoyed it ever since. It's become a big part of my life. It's evolved from being just a hobby. It is I guess much more than that for me now. And I am currently heading Nova Roma within Oceania, so Australia and New Zealand in particular, as the governor, so the Legatus Pro Praetoria Australia. So the Nova Roma Senate has granted me specific authorities and powers, I guess in the Roman terms, to manage Nova Roma's interests in this region. And we actually, even though we are a Roman Republican-based constitution and entity in the majority, we do borrow a lot of terms and some traditions from later parts in Roman history. And that of the Legatus Pro Praetoria is perhaps a little bit more of the imperial era than so much of the Republican era. Normally, a governorship was granted to ex-consuls and ex-praetors. So you'd have a proconsul or a pro-praetor who would fulfill the governor role of a province. In this case here, for those that are yet to serve as a praetor or a consul, such as myself, D. Aurelius Ingeniarius, we are given the term as we are a legate, or a legatus. In this case, the Legatus Pro Praetoria, specific term here, which essentially means the governor in English. That is the modern interpretation. That's not the direct translation, but that is the modern interpretation in English to understand the role I fulfill here. And I guess we currently call the local association or not-for-profit here in Australia, Australia Nova Romana, which represents Nova Roma Incorporated here in Australia. We are looking to continue to grow our enterprise, and we're looking to perhaps incorporate formally. We are currently registering here in Australia with an institution known as the Australian Living History Federation. You can look them up on Facebook and online, and they provide a level of insurance, I guess, for reenactment style activities. But it's actually a prerequisite to join the Australian Living History Federation to be an authentic and accurate organisation that's properly, reliving history or experiencing history or reenacting history. LARPing is not something that the Australian Living History Federation will accept. And we are certainly not LARPing in Nova Roma, and that's a question that we occasionally get sometimes. We try to be authentic as possible. We are authentic. We are living history. There we go. So we've just finished the rear rank of our base here now. There we go. Careful not to cut the bottom piece there, so that was folded underneath. And I'm just looking at the hustus, the tips here. I like to make sure that they're quite sharp. Now, one of the things I like to do, particularly to maintain the structural integrity within some of these points, and if we look at the pila, before I bring these back over as well, so here's the pila, they look a little bit different, the throwing javelins of the Roman legionaries. Again, these are still quite sturdy, despite being such a thin piece of what is paper. So that thickness right now, because it's glued back to back, is approximately 200 GSM. So it starts as printing out as 100 GSM paper, and it's folded over on itself and stuck together. And that is the pinnacle point of the fold in the paper is the tips of the spears. And at that point, you can actually put some glue down initially and let it dry, and then you'll fold it over and glue it on itself. So what I have here is one of those strips of paper that it starts its life as. And if you turn it over, on the back of where the tips of, in this case, the hustas are, or spears, or any thin weapon that your units may be carrying, just apply a layer of glue. And you can actually see that on the camera there, despite the shoddy light quality. And you can see so some glue is already dried on those weak, what could be potentially be the weak points of those weapons. And that provides another layer of thickness. And so then when we score the sheets with our blunt knife, fold it over on itself, and then let that dry again when it's glued, we have some quite thick pieces, or the weapons themselves become quite thick, and that provides some more structural integrity again. So that's another little gluing tip. Now you don't have to, and I've got many units which I haven't done that initial pre-glue, and you know, I guess they've stood up fine so far. I guess long term, with the occasional bumps or whatever, that little bit of extra support in your weaponry should hopefully help them last that little bit longer. So I think this one, the point here doesn't look quite sharp enough. I'm actually going to try and sharpen that a little bit more, like so. That's the beauty of the knife. The sharp precision blade here enables you to make those fine micro adjustments. I want to do a little bit more work on this husta over here. There we go. Okay, good. All right, so that's that rank done. And so before we do the next rank, let's do our first declension word here. Let's hit new words. So we're going to go look over this side of the screen again now, and I'm going to take a drink of tea. Brilliant. Okay, so we're over this side, we're going to hit new word. So this is the website, thelatinlibrary.com/declension, which is decl.html. Again, I'll put this in chat if you're looking to follow along at home. It's great. I only just discovered this website today. So we have the word incola, which means inhabitant, apparently. So I am an incola, if that's the correct context of provincia, Australia. Incola. So we know that what the nominee is. Let's see how quickly we can do this. How quickly can you do this at home? Let's go. So we're going to have incola, not insula. We're not talking about islands anymore. So incola, incolai, yep, spell it right. Colai, incolam, colas, where's my O? Incolas, there we go. And incolarum, good. Incolai, incolis, that will also be incolis, and that will be incola. Okay, I did that pretty quick. Let's see how we went. Oh, brilliant. Got them all. So if you look down the bottom here, that's verified answers. If it's all in black, we've got it all right. How did you do at home? How quickly, particularly if you're not a Latin speaker, how quickly did you decline incola, the first declension word there? Look who's joined us in the channel. One of our esteemed senators or senatrix, which is Hortensia. She was actually a praetor last year as well. Very experienced individual and a very fairly proficient Latinist as well, who's been providing us a fantastic education through our Discord. An opportunity that perhaps presents itself to you in the future, should you wish to become a Nova Roma citizen and join us in our communities. Hortensia Faustina. She is a very active member of our community and provides much assistance to my very primitive Latin, both here on the stream and in the Discord and on the YouTube. And we thank her very much for the assistance and the wisdom that she provides. So what do you think of this, Magistra? We have found this website which sets up all these boxes for us and generates random words at the top here in whatever declension that we want, and we can practice filling out these boxes, and then it verifies how well we did. So I'm loving this website. It's been really helping me to decline some words. So the fact that you're here and oh, you did. I missed it and I only just discovered it on a Google here. Oh, I'm pleased. Okay, good. So you're definitely already aware of it. Something I should have been paying attention to, perhaps. So while you're here, let's see how quickly I can decline another first declension word. Let's hit the new word button up here. Lacrima, which means tear. lacrima. So let's see how we go. Lacrima. Therefore, lacrimae, and this will also be spelling it right. Lacrimae. That's it. No, the accusative is going to be Now, here's an interesting case. Lacrimam, I think is going to be I'm just making sure I got the initial spelling right. Good. I think Oh, hang on, I haven't spelled it right up here. Lacrimae. Lacrimae. Got the spelling right there. Lacrimae. Good. Lacrimarum is what I want to say there. This should be the same. Lacrimae. Ablative should be the same up at the top as the nominative. Lacrima. Lacrima. Yeah, good. This will be lacrimas. Lacrimas. This should be lacrimis. Lacrimis. All right. Let me just double check the plurals here and the spellings. So normally, the fault I was making in the beginning was doing this. I had the original A's in there, and that wasn't working. It just looked wrong, and I guess one of the rules I came up with for myself is that if it looks wrong, it probably is. So we remove those A's. Provided hang on, I haven't spelt them right. I'm not looking at chat on purpose here, so you might be going, it's not spelt right. Lacrimis, that's better. Make sure you get the original spelling right of the base word. Lacrimis, lacrimis, lacrimas, lacrimam for the accusative. The genitive plural, lacrimarum, I think is right. All right, check answers. All right, apparently that's all right. Okay, I got them all right. That was pretty quick. How did you do at home for our non-Latin speakers? Hopefully your spelling was much better than mine. I haven't come across lacrima before yet. Apparently means tear. That's a new word to my vocabulary. That's good. I'm picking the pattern. All right, so the next one we're going to do after we do a little bit more cutting over here is we're going to do a second declension, which is predominantly masculine, although there are some feminine exceptions apparently. I think there's some neuter words as well, which will no doubt catch us out. So let's do a little bit more cutting. So let's move our Roman legionaries out of the way there. Make ourselves a little bit more room. Put some of our units over here. Go on parade. Wish you could see these other guys over here. Okay, there we go. So we've got our sentry command unit, and then one of the sub-units. Okay, so again, making sure all of your base elements of your unit are folded out of the way, so when you cut through, you're not going to accidentally cut the base. And let's commence cutting. So we've got some more people on the channel again, continuing our conversation about why you are interested in ancient Rome, or why you've enjoyed Nova Roma as a citizen. And I guess I haven't actually shared my tale yet. As we celebrate the 23rd birthday of Nova Roma. So I I'm in possession of it's a relatively old board game now. It was released by Valley Games in 2009. It was originally an Avalon Hill board game from 1990. And it's called The Republic of Rome. It's no longer in print, particularly when you consider the publication was in fact 2009 for at least the Valley Games version. I think you can still buy the occasional copy new, but you're looking to fork out at least $250 to $300 for a copy. And there is a many part to it. There's lots and lots of tokens, lots of cards. For those that haven't seen it, you can look it up on Board Game Geek. I plan to maybe share the link later in the channel, and that will give you some explanation. So if you go to boardgamegeek.com, or is it bgg.com, I can't remember, and look up the Republic of Rome, it'll give you some explanation there. But it's best described as an ancient Roman Republic political simulator. And I still do, I love this game very much. It can last a long time. You control a faction of senators in the ancient Roman Republic, starting in a particular era of the choosing, or of the group's choosing, and you not only it's a semi-cooperative game, which is always a fascinating mechanic. So you're all working together to try and keep Rome alive and advance Rome and its economy and win wars, but you're also trying to gain the most influence and the most popularity and hopefully eventually be elected console for life, which is the winning end state, I guess, for this particular board game anyway. So yeah, it's a bit two-sided. Lots of political wheeling and dealing in the background, and it's one of those games that, if the players don't cooperate enough, they can all lose because of maybe being overwhelmed by wars, or they run out of money in the treasury, or even the population revolts, grows tired of the Senate. So yeah, many ways you could also lose the game collectively, but hopefully somebody gets the winning condition and can be crowned console for life. And right, so the last time I played this game with a group of 5 people, I think I just presided over the board. We played for about 3 months, I think, playing 1 night a week, 3 hours a night. That's a long time. I think we take it to the nth degree a little bit. There are lots of rules. It is quite a complex board game, but I like that about board games. I enjoy complexity and some of the rule books. Generally, my rule is, unless it takes you 3 hours to set up, it ain't worth playing. I don't know. Who else is a board game here? Who enjoys playing board games? Maybe not Republic of Rome. That could be a little bit of an expensive time-based game. Anyway, so once I've been playing Republic of Rome for a while, I really started to explore online more about ancient Rome, and potentially with the concept in mind to produce, a title which would go into the Empire period after the Republic ended. And I started doing some research online, particularly into different positions of magistrates and what they did and their powers, and who was the magistrate and what constituted the government of the day in various traditions. And I found a lot of this information on this wiki, and I didn't know what this wiki was initially, but eventually it was a site called Nova Roma, which we now know to be the main website of Nova Roma. And it's amazing that if you spend enough time on the Nova Roma website, there is so much information and data there. And I learnt so much from the website. And eventually I discovered that you could become a citizen. And I went, absolutely. So I submitted my citizenship application, and the rest is history. And now here I am. I find myself on Twitch recording Roman-themed content, fulfilling various positions and roles within the Nova Roma government. So this year I have been elected Tribunus Plebis, representing the plebeians within the floor of the Senate. It's an important role with some interesting and important powers. And we all play our part to grow the concept and our symbolic nation of Nova Roma. And even more so, we celebrate all those things on today, the birthday of Nova Roma, the 23rd, in fact. That's quite a long time for any institution or any community group, government group, and particularly this community, a global community, established in about 1998 by some well-respected individuals in our community in the US East Coast. Here we are. Let's have a look at chat over here. We're talking about some citizenship registrations. That's great. Usonia says he doesn't like to play many Roman games in public. People trying to treat it like a hobbyist. Here we go. Our Hortensia Faustina says she became a citizen in 2003, and it's been wonderful growing in the Romanatus. Certainly, absolutely, and that's been a citizen for a long time now. That's very good. Scrolling up the chat here, what else is going on? Yes, Usonius is looking to try to locate a translation of Horace. And for those who don't know, he's our resident poet that's joined our community recently. So it's great seeing some of his work. So right, anything even remotely Roman related or from the ancient history, we certainly appreciate hearing about. So you can definitely do some of that on our Discord or our various social media platforms. We now have just started up our primary Instagram channel for Nova Roma. And you'll see those links on our main website and our Facebook page. We'll give you some links to that as well, and I might put that in the description once this is up on YouTube as well. Please, if you're on Instagram, follow us there. You can also follow the Provincia Australia Instagram channel as well, and keep up to date with everything happening here in Oceanus, or in Oceania, And that's, if you look up at Os Nova Roma, you can find us on Instagram. Okay, we're getting to the end here. Oh, yeah, we need to fix up the tip of this huster. Coming to the end of fixing this base up. And we might actually glue this one together too. Let's fix up his shoulder. There we go, that's getting better. Oh, that's a bit daggy. So we've had a little bit of skew in the paper, I think, during the drying process. That's okay, at least it's quite sturdy. Not too tacky. A little bit, some daggy bits there. Maybe these guys are the rough ones that have been in battle already. That's what we'll pretend. There we go. Okay, so now we have... Oh, see, we've bent that huster. Let's put that back up. There we go. Now got 2 ranks here for our unit. I think it looks like in chat people are interested to know what website we're looking at. Links to the online Declensions. There we go. We've had one of the prestigious individuals from Provincia Australia join us. C. Sempronius Scriptus Agricola, now the provincial quaestor, recently appointed. And he's also the Prefectus Cohortus of a new Nova Roma autonomous unit within the province as well. Yes, we're currently, for those who just joined us, we're currently talking about your history with ancient Rome, or what got you into ancient Rome, and I guess when you became a Nova Roma citizen. We're seeing some many senior citizens amongst our viewership this evening. It's wonderful. Lots of knowledge and wisdom here. I feel very, very esteemed to be amongst such wonderful company. It's fantastic. If our good Magistra, I think if you're trying to post a link, I think it's actually blocked at the moment. But if you DM me, send me a private message, I can add it to the chat for everyone to share in. We might tweak some settings later, so good individuals like yourself can do just that. It's cool. Some people have visited each other. That's fantastic. It's great when some fellow Romans can visit each other across the globe. All right, so before we go and glue this latest piece together, and we'll need our base for that as well, and we'll need a front rank, and we'll choose that in just a moment. Let's go over to this side of the screen now. We're going to decline some more nouns. So we're going to go to second declension now. So we were working first declension, and we picked up a pattern. So you can see the pattern on the screen now for the first declension word that we did, which was lacrima, which means tear. And you can see the ending change to represent the various cases for first declension and predominantly feminine words. So we can see that the nominative and the ablative are usually the same. Well, not usually, they are. We can see that the genitive singular, the dative singular, and the plural nominative all share that I, that AE ending. And then we see some unique ones here. So I generally know the accusative. You just slap that M on the end. Slap that M on the end, and that will give you the singular accusative. And I generally remember from that, oddly enough, that the genitive plural has this unique arum or aurum if it's masculine, and we might see that potentially in this upcoming second declension word where we hit the new word button. But we see this arum, so that will be the plural genitive. And then we see this is and as endings. So the dative and the ablative are the same. So we see lacrimis and lacrimis, and there's lacrimas for the plural accusative. And the machine down the bottom here, we hit the check answers, and it told us we were all right. That's good. Look, I think we're up to about 8 viewers now. That's pretty good. If you haven't already, please hit that follow button. It'd be great to help grow this channel and bring some more Roman content as we head further into the future. We're always working within Nova Roma to bring you more streamers at different time zones. I'm setting up some European and some American streamers to come here on this channel as well. So there's some viewing timings for everybody wherever you are in the globe. Sometimes it's a bit hard for our viewers in the other hemisphere or the other side of the world to join us at this hour. It's about lunchtime now over in Rome, so that's not too bad. But some interesting hours over there. Very good. Okay, so let's hit that new word for a second declension word. Here we go. Equus. Equus, to mean horse. Fascinating. And we can know this is a masculine word because it has the US ending. Equus. So we have, I guess there's a base word there, really, which is the EQU. So we know the nominative, in this case, it's always, we're at least going to get 1 point. We have equus. Okay, so Hortensia Faustina, our good magistra, is going off to teach. Wale, thank you for joining us. Gratias. Your help here on the channel is always appreciated. A thumbs up from me. Did Romans do thumbs up? That'd be interesting to know. But yeah, always great to have you stop on by, particularly because you're in such an opposite time zone to where we are streaming here at this time of day and night, depending on where you are. That's good. Thank you. Awesome that you're stopping by. Right, so let's go back over that side of the screen. So we've got our second declension word that we're practicing, which is equus, which means horse. We know that the nominative is equus. We're going to throw that in there. Okay, so the next... now, interesting here, we don't have a line for the vocative. And I generally know what the vocative usually is. Equore? I don't know. Good thing it's not here then, because I can't spell it. So let's try and go through. There is a slightly different pattern for second declension compared to the first declension. Practice along at home if you're doing this as well. See if you can do it much quicker than I am. And let's see how we go. So let's start off with the accusative. Generally that's a little bit easier. So we're going to go Now this is interesting. So I am a little bit uncertain how to do this. I guess I want to say equum. The US ending changes. This is an interesting first word to do for our second declension exercise. That's my first guess. So as I do this, I'm only practicing. I'm not an expert, but we can hit the check answers button very shortly. We've got the check answers button down there, so we'll check out the answers as we go. But that is my current guess, is equum. Straight off the bat, I can have a guess what the plural is. So that should be equorum. That's roughly what I want to do at the moment. The genitive should be, spell it right, equi. So we see an I for the genitive here. And then we have the dative and the ablative. Now, I understand them to be the same. And it usually ends with an O, if I remember the pattern correctly. But how's that going to look on paper? I think that's what I want to do here. Equo has an O ending for the singular. Have you finished the table yet for those practicing at home as well? And then we'll have a similar pattern over here as we saw before, so as we saw in the first declension word. So the accusative should be I want to say equas, but I don't think that's correct. This should be equis. Equis. I think they're the same. No, this will be equos. OS. Right, because we're looking for the masculine plural here. I believe that to be equos. And then these should still be equis. Okay, Lentilus is off. Wale to you. Thank you for joining us. Good luck with the rest of your activities for the 23rd birthday of Nova Roma. It's been a treat to have you on board today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching the stream today. It's been a blast. Paper soldiering and practicing our Latin declensions of nouns. Absolutely marvellous. All right, so we're nearly there. So now we just need the nominative plural. Now this one has me a little bit stumped. I, for the life of me, cannot remember the pattern. Agricola, are you still in the chat? Can you remember Agricola? Or anybody in the chat who's practicing with us, what is the plural nominative of the word equus? Or I guess for most masculine words in the second declension, what would the plural be? We change out the US ending for what? In fact, I actually think it's the same as the genitive. I actually think it's equi. Now, I'm not confident on some of the spellings. Yes, very good. Agricola is here. I think he's trying to avoid providing an answer, maybe. Him and I are both practicing. Both trying to get through. Okay, so we're over here for those that are just checking into the channel again, or who's got this in the background, or phased off a little bit as they saw a whole bunch of foreign words on screen. So in all the boxes you see here in the middle part, I've attempted my declination, is that correct? Declining for all the cases except for the vocative, which isn't here, for the word equus, which means horse. A second declension word. We've changed it to the US ending. So I'm happy with the nominative, that's that word there. The genitive usually ends in I, so we changed it to the US ending for I. And if I remember correctly, the plural looks like the genitive, and so we'll also have an I ending as well. The accusative is also usually the one that I know next, and we usually slap an M on the end. I think that's correct. I'm not confident in the spelling. But that looks roughly correct to me. And I understand the dative and the ablative to generally be the same for second declension words, and they usually have an O ending. So we have equo, which is both for the ablative and the dative. Over on the other side, this equus we usually see for both the feminine and these masculines, so between first and second declension. I think they're usually the same, so I've gone with equus. And then we see the plural here, so this is unique for the second declension for the plural accusative, which is equos. And then, of course, the genitive plural equorum, which is this O-R-U-M. All right. How do you think I went? Maybe throw in chat the percentage for those that at least don't study Latin. How correct do you think I am? Throw in a percentage before we hit the check answers button. Let me know how correct you think I am, or how correct you think you are. How do you think you're going before we hit the check answers button? As I said before, Agricola was studying with me. I just was speaking to our good Magistra before Agricola, and she actually stated that the website that we're currently looking at is... she actually already provided us this link. I only just rediscovered it again today, and I'm just throwing it back into chat again for those that are interested. Yeah, great tool just to throw nouns at you, and you can practice declining them. So that's excellent. All right, let's hit the check answers button. That's enough waiting. Bang. Oh, so close. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't confident about the spelling of the accusative here, and you can just see down the bottom, anything in red is wrong, and it shows us the correct spelling. So it's actually W. And I had that feeling, and as I said before, when we were declining some of the first declension words, I said if the spelling looks wrong, it probably is. I said if the spelling looks wrong, it probably is. And for the accusative, it was just a case of, well, do we actually throw that extra U in? So maybe I get half points. Maybe I get half points there. So I'm nearly right. Nearly 98, 99%. It's equum with a W, but I got everything else correct. So that's good. So apparently I remember the pattern for second declensions. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go back to this side of the screen here now, on your right-hand side on the stream.
Victoria, every test we take
helps us protect.
Yeah, Brenda says it should be easier for Agricola to learn than I. For those that don't know, our good friend Agricola actually has a lot of Italian language knowledge. Oh, can we hear the advertisement in the background?
So even if your symptoms are
It's the
mild,
COVID announcement, talking to us about doing the right thing for COVID. I hope you are at home doing the right thing about COVID. Staying at home if you're ill, wearing a mask where you need to, particularly on public transport in Victoria, where we are based. But yes, our good friend Agricola actually speaks Italian, so he has a leg up in some areas. But perhaps in other areas, he said he's been struggling a little. And he says there in chat, and yet Ingeniari is much better at that than me. I don't know. Like I think we've talked about before, I think Agricola and I balance each other quite well. He's good at some things in Latin, and I perhaps have rehearsed and practiced some other things a little bit better. But together, I think we make up a single good Latin student between us. Yeah. So this week and next week, I'm going to be really practicing my declensions. All right, so let's go over here. So back in the center, we'll center that a little bit there. So we've got our base we freshly cut out. So here's one we were just cutting out before. So we had to be careful not to cut the base as we trim that. Here is the finished product now. We've got the second and third rank. First of all, what we're going to do is with a little flap just on the front there, we're going to glue a front rank. So we're going to pick one out, and generally you can see there's different positions of the men in each rank, holding their scutums and their shields and their hasta just slightly differently in each case. So we want to pick one which is slightly different again. And in this case here, it appears to be this front rank. So this is the front rank I've chosen, and of course you've got a couple of different front rank options in the book. Brendan has asked, how would I say laugh out loud in Latin? I don't know how to say laugh out loud, but I guess the written form is very similar to how we would do it in English, except with a slight letter change at the end. I've just typed it in chat. It's just that AE ending. Ha 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 hi. AE at the end. But yeah, to write, I guess, to laugh looks very similar to how we would write ha 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 in Latin. But to say laugh out loud is a little bit different, and certainly outside of my skill level. I do not know that yet, but I would like to learn. I would like to learn, because it comes in handy. So Usonius has offered us a solution, and I can't verify this, but he says you just say cordio. So that means it's a verb, and it means I do something. What does that mean, Usonius? What does cordea, let me zoom in. Cordeo, cordare. I'm going to get my pronunciation right. It means to laugh out loud. Is the literal meaning. Interesting. There you go. Brenda is impressed with that. How do you say wow in Latin? That's the next one. That's the next one she'll want to learn. Yeah, tops. Okay, we keep getting distracted, but that's all right. That's what this channel's about. This channel's about getting ourselves distracted, going down Roman rabbit holes, talking about all things Roman. We have a very language theme this evening because we are practicing our declensions. So from here, I have the basis. Now, if you're printing out the standard units from the book as is, straight through to your printer from the PDF, they have particular dimensions, and I find that I've cut out a particular base. Now, this is 200 GSM paper, so this is much thicker than your standard 80 GSM paper, and I mark this up into particular dimensions, so it's 4 centimeters by about 4.3 centimeters, so it's slightly longer on one side. And what we do there is that fits nicely sort of across the base, and you can actually just see there through the terrible lighting that I've got, it just has some overhang on either side, and that enables us to fold the base over, and I guess the unit then grips that solid piece of paper. So if you have a look at one that we prepared earlier, so pick up one of our base units of auxiliary here, if I turn that over, you can actually see that the fold over that we've glued, and so it sort of hangs onto the base there, and that's what we're going to do here. So grab the base, we're going to grab our clear glue, and you slowly learn over time how much you need. So I put a little bit of a snake on, that's probably even a bit much. Grab my little butter knife paddle pop stick thing, and I'm just going to evenly distribute that glue across the base here, just to get an even distribution, so there's no unstuck bits right to the edge. Doesn't matter if we get a bit of overlap. Alright, and there's no rushing this because this is a slower drying glue. And then we're going to pick up our base unit here and we're going to position it. Alright, so we're going to get that slight overhang front and back. Get that position right, wiggle it back a little bit. See how I can wiggle it even though it's touching the ground. Get a little bit of overhang. Doesn't matter if we see it out the side, that's okay, we'll fix it up later. There we go, adjusting that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so it's on there, but now what we do is we grab our 2 other paddle pop sticks or anything similar, and I'm going to push down between each of the rank positions, and then slide the sticks, and this will help to get to glue down evenly. There we go. Push that down at the front as well. Let's just get the 2. Oops, steady. I'm really starting to damage that huster. You see that? So it's getting a little bit weak. Come on, put some more glue on that. That happens. All right, so we've really stuck that down. That looks quite good. That's good. So don't worry about those overhangs that you may get out the sides. We're going to trim that off later. Okay. So you can see a little bit of white out the side, but with our Stanley blade, we can fix that. So we don't have to wait while it's drying. We're going to grab our front ranks now, and now I'm going to go to this is another PVA glue, a stipe that I'm using. I guess a multi-purpose. It's always better to use something that's aimed at paper and cardboard, but this works as well. This type of boss stick. I'm just going to throw some of this glue down onto the base of the feet here, just a little bit. In fact, even what I'm putting on here is perhaps too much. In fact, if you can see it on this poor camera, it's probably too much. A little bit of junk glue. There we go. I'm starting to run out a little bit in this tube. Here, watch this. I'll put way too much on in a minute. There we go. All right. Distribute that just a little bit. All right, I'm going to gently align the units. I want them to be well dressed and standing behind each other properly. I'm just going to use the tips of my fingers there just to touch it on to that front support piece. And then again, I'm going to grab my 2 paddle pop sticks here, and I'm going to slide one either the front and back of that rank and then squeeze those together. So if I can lift that up to the camera a little bit, you can see I'm squeezing the paddle pop sticks either side of that front rank just to really push it in there. Gently peel them away because the glue will be there just starting to dry. There we go, and it'll actually help us to take off some of that excess. And there we go, now the front rank is glued on the front there as well. Fantastic. Now what we're going to do here is just double check some of those Huster and maybe even provide a little bit of glue to support them. So which one was our bendy one? I think it's this back one? Yeah, it's this back one. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to turn it over this way because that was the way it was bending. We're going to grab some of the PVA glue as opposed to the clear stuff because this stuff can dry a little bit thicker. Okay, that's good. I'm just checking on the chat. That's good. We're getting some good explanations in there. Again, from Cornelius Lentulus, one of our esteemed senior citizens in terms of experience and knowledge and wisdom. Always very helpful. Cordio, laughing out loud. Okay, so let's go back to that slightly damaged Huster there, and we're going to provide some glue quite thickly across the back, just a little. In fact, that's just a little bit too much. So I'm going to take off just a little with my applicator stick here. That's it. Ever so gentle. Just to provide, and as that dries, it'll provide a little bit of support and thickness again. That's good. Bend that forwards just a little. Alright. So occasionally that happens, but I found so far that they've been quite sturdy. So that's good. I'm going to just, any excess, I'm just going to put on the back of this piece here. That's great. So I'm just going to let that dry for just a little bit, and then we'll fold the edges over and glue them on down the front there. So that's why you keep damaging it. My fat fingers keep hitting those Huster tips. Okay, so put your glue lids back on. Good, and now it's time to do some more declension. So we're going to go over to this side of the screen again. I'm going to take a sip of tea. Do I keep skipping the I when I pronounce it? Corridio. I do. Yeah, I forgot the I. Corridio. Corridio. I was skipping the I. I'm glad you're all here assessing my Latin. Can't get it wrong when you got all these people watching and listening in. Okay, so this side of the screen, we had just done our second declension Latin now. So we were doing the word equus, which means horse. The only one I got wrong was the spelling here of the accusative. I missed a U, as we saw in the answers down the bottom here. So let's hit the new word button and see what we get. Aha! We get servus. Servus, which means slave, which were quite in number during the Roman times. In fact, I'm learning a lot about slaves and gladiators as I watch Spartacus. I think it's off Netflix right now, which is, I got in there, it had quite a comic book feel to it, and apparently that's the point, that's the vibe it's trying to give off, where every person seems to have about 36 litres of blood, for those that use the metric system. Quite violent, very Game of Thrones-esque in a way, but very entertaining to watch. So Spartacus, that's during the Roman Republican era, when I guess they had a slave revolt. It was the Republican era, wasn't it, for those who know the history slightly better than I do? If you're watching the chat discussion, it's been great. We're talking about various language norms, particularly in terms of laughing. Yes, Usonius has confirmed that it was in fact from the Republican period for Spartacus. That's good. Thank you, Usonius. This is great. Good to share all this Latin knowledge. Okay, so we have servus here. This is the on this side of the screen. This is the word we're now practicing while we wait for our unit to dry here. And that means slave. And we're going to go through this, try to do this a little bit quicker now and practice at home. Set up your boxes here for each of the cases. We're missing the vocative, but that's okay. We can practice that later. Normally for the second declension, you're adding an E on the end, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we can find another site later. Okay, so let's go through. So the genitive is going to be servi. We're going to put an I on the end. Therefore, the plural we're also going to know is going to be the same, servi. Again, changing the US ending out for I. And if you look up servus in the dictionary, it'll usually have a comma dash I after it as well to indicate that, yes, the genitive form here is I, which also tells you about the declension. So the I servi. Okay, let's go through the accusative. Servum. Let's just check my spelling. Spelling. Servum. Good. We have, again, throw that random M there. The genitive plural, because always doing the singular accusative reminds me of the plural genitive. So we'll have servorum. Over here we get this O-R-U-M ending, which is the plural genitive, which is the possessive. Very good. And then we have the dative and the ablative, which we know are the same. So we get 2 for the price of 1, and that usually ends in O for second declension masculine nouns. So it will be servo. Not to be confused with the Australian servo, where you fill up your petrol, or for the Americans, your gas station. In Australia, we call it a servo, not a gas station. Servo, which is the singular dative and the singular ablative. So to a slave, or talking about whereabouts in regards is the slave here. So the slave is with something or whatever, or something is with the slave. That's where the ablative is used. Okay, so then we come over here. So the accusative is unique on this side, and that will be servos. Oh, terrible spelling. Servos. Therefore, these should be both the same. Service. Okay, that wasn't too slow. How did you do at home? How did you do at home? Did you do that faster than I
Every
did?
test we take.
Oh, we've got more commercials. If you're interested, I'm listening to a non-DCMA playlist off Spotify. So all this music is freely available and will not infringe on Twitch terms or conditions or infringe on any music copyrights. So all that easy listening music you are listening in the background is able to be played. There's actually quite a lot of websites now that offer license-free music, especially for streaming, because it's all about IP protections and acknowledging and paying for content which otherwise is not yours. But in this case here, this music has been generated and made for use in these online forums. So that is what is entertaining us in the background when there are not COVID ads playing. Right, I'm going to have a sip of tea. Okay, so let's go ahead. Go check our answers here now. Let's see how we went. Boom! All in the black. Fantastic. Bene. Optime. We got them all right. So it's good. I'm starting to pick up the pattern here for the second declension. That's really good. That's good. I'm pleased I'm learning, but the trick for me now will be doing all this fast and on the fly, particularly if I'm trying to speak it. It's all well and good doing it at a table, but... yeah, we'll see how we go. Practice these at home, particularly if you're new to Latin. How did you do on servus, meaning slave? A second declension masculine word here. Did you get that all correct, as I have done here? That's awesome. All right, so let's go back to this side of the screen, and with our apparently 8 viewers. I don't know how many you guys can see. My service is apparently telling me there's 8. Hello, salute on this to everybody that's watching the stream right now. If you haven't already, please hit that follow button. You would help to grow this channel. We're looking to add more streamers to this channel from around the world. We've already got one lined up in America, on the US East Coast. We've got one of our praetors actually this year from Roma, who's going to eventually get back into broadcasting from Germany, or Provincia Germania. Hello to all of our citizens who may be watching in on either on the Twitch channel live or on the YouTube from Provincia Germania. It's wonderful, wunderbar, wonderful to have you on board. Perhaps watching this into the future. Myself and the current legate over there in Provincia Germania are good friends. Sia Torius Preconinus. A special salve to him if he potentially joins us this evening or watches this later on the YouTube. So what we just did here is we glued a specially sized base that I've cut out for the base of one of our units that we've just trimmed. That's had a little bit of an opportunity to dry. And now what we're going to do is we're going to fold the ends over so that it grips the base a little bit and provides, again, a little bit more rigidity. So we'll put that down. Now, you've got two options here. Generally, they'll allow you to fold, and particularly the glue can often soften the paper a little bit, so you can do that. Of course, you could score it. So we'll do both, and let's see which looks better. So to score the edge, to make it easier to fold, you do need to fold your units down. Make sure you're not going to score on your units. Lay that flat, and we're going to grab a blunt knife, and I've got this one here. So this is a fairly dulled knife, and we're not going to press overly hard, as opposed to my cutting knife here. And I'm just going to come right up to the edge, and in the awkward dull light that I've got, I'm just going to run the blade across there. And you can just see, I don't know whether you can see there in the poor light, you can see it's scored the page. And you do this for anything that you're looking to fold to get a precision fold. And that's particularly important when you start off with, say, these strips, to cut and fold, well, rather not cut, but to fold along those edges so that when you fold them on the backs of themselves, they line up perfectly, so that when you do cut them out, you get the same picture, or the picture front and back is lined up. There we go. It's great. It's great. The chat for the channel this evening has become a bit of a live discussion forum on all sorts of citizenship registration and language. This is perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping the channel would be, a place for us all, Nova Roma citizens or Romanophiles, or anybody that enjoys anything about ancient Rome, money, language, clothing, hair, military, history, you name it. This is where it's at. And we're going to add, as I said, more and more streamers for us to continue to celebrate all things Rome. Okay, so we've scored one side, and we're just going to fold the other as an example here, just to see how it goes. So this is the scored side. So we're just going to first of all fold that over, just to get the memory into the paper. Okay, and then we're going to fold the men back. And then we're going to just fold this side. And this is the side we didn't score, but it still folds over quite easily, particularly because we're doing it against the edge of the 200 GSM base here. So we've folded both sides. Now what we do, now that we've trained the paper a little bit, we're going to glue it. So I'm going to go back to my clear glue here. So this is my Office Works variety. Any sort of clear glue works well. Just slow drying, not so important here. Just add a little bit to either side. Grab my applicator, special applicator piece of technology here. The cutout is not necessary. I just did that. It helped me with some of the precision, but whatever you use. So I'm just going to help spread that evenly across both of those tabs that we've created. I'm going to turn that over. Applicate that across. Good. Alright, put that down. And now what we're going to do is, you can see I've got a whole bunch of what they call kitchen towel in the UK, or paper towel, as we call it at least down here in Australia. I've got another piece here that I've been using, and this helps us to pick up any excess overflow as we fold these pieces over. So I'm going to fold it over and gently push it down. That's going to squeeze out some of the excess glue, and the paper towel is going to help us absorb and distribute some of that. Gently peel that away, and that's what the good thing about the paper towel is, that unlike tissue, for example, it doesn't stick to it. The paper towel pulls away without leaving, I guess, any of its own residue. And you can see that's well stuck down now. There's a little bit of glue that's come out, but that's very easily dried. And we'll come over to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing. Grab a little piece of the kitchen or paper towel, help fold it over and absorb some of that spare glue. There we go. And gently peel that away again. There we go. And so we've now folded over both sides. You can just see a little bit of that glue residue there, but that will dry. That's okay. Alright, and now we have a completed unit. Still got some drying time, and I do note that we've still got some slightly bent hasta there. They're okay, but they're easily adjustable. We can always reinforce them with some more glue later. That one that we've reinforced is doing well. That's it. So what we're going to do is let that dry a little bit now, and then we'll bring this back a little bit later, and you can see that white edge just on the edge there on the camera. We'll use that precision blade just to trim that off, and we can do that for both sides. And then it's a neat little piece that'll look exactly like these. So there's one, so I'm going to put that over to the side to dry. So at least we've done one in this session. That's good. Okay, so let's come back over to this side of the screen again. Let's do another some more declension practice of some Latin nouns. Let's hit the new word button and see what we get. Here we go. Templum, which means temple, and of course one of our prestigious partners of Nova Roma is an organisation known as Templum, operating out of Eastern Europe there. They offer a lot of cultus deorum and religious services. You can subscribe to them on Patreon, and in their name and in your name, they can host sacrifices. They can even do a special sacrifice for you on your birthday, which is very delightful. It seems that Pharaoh Crab, are you off? Wale to you. Thanks for joining us if you are. It's been a pleasure to have you on here. I hope you got some information that you needed about your citizenship registration. That's great that you were able to talk through some of that on tonight's forum. So that's wonderful. That's very good. Excellent. Okay, so let's practice now Templum, which we know, as I just said, is one of our partner organisations. You're going to look them up on Facebook as well and online. I think it's templum.org, and they even have their own Discord server as well. If you can look that up, I'll try and get some links later. And they'll definitely be up on the YouTube channel. If you're looking for us on YouTube, it's Australia Nova Romana, based on the name of the association representing Nova Roma here in Australia. Nova Roma Incorporated, based out of the east coast of the US. Happy 23rd birthday to Nova Roma, founded in about 1998. Yes, 23 years today, and commences the start of the Ludi Romani. Trivia and gladiatorial fights all online, hosted by one of our Adilus Carulus. Should be a great time. If you want to participate, not too late to become a Nova Roma citizen and join in some of the festivities. There's potentially little token rewards, accolades and census points on offer for those that participate and do really well, so that's good. But right now, let us focus on declining this second declension word, templum, meaning temple. Now, this is different compared to the previous two words we did, equus and servus, which both are masculine ending in us. This one here is slightly different. It ends in um. And what does that tell us? It means it is a neuter. It is a neuter word, which means that some of the cases are slightly different. It takes some masculine and some feminine endings for the various cases. So I think I'm going to get some wrong here. Let's see how you do at home. Write this down on a piece of paper. Write down your cases that are seen there on the left-hand side, and let's see how you go as well. Start with the nominative singular, which is always a quick, easy point, which is the same as the word right there, templum. So I think I remember a rule about the plural here for neuter words, so it doesn't have, it's neither masculine or feminine, and it adopts a feminine ending for the plural here. So that will be, in fact, templa. If my guess is correct, it should be templa, which will be the plural nominative of templum. Gosh, yeah, I'm really uncertain about the neuter in a lot of these cases. We're going to get a lot of wrong here. Let's see how we go. I think I want to say that particularly in the singular, the neuter matches a lot of the masculine. Let's go through. Templum is going to be the same as the nominative because it already ends in an M, so the accusative is going to stay as templum here. So the accusative will remain there. And I think I remember the pattern. So for the genitive plural, it's also going to be the same as any masculine second declension word. So we're going to go templuorum. Templuorum. And I think we dropped the U. So that, you'll recall, is the exact same ending as any masculine US ending words. O-R-U-M. So the same as the masculine. So that's my guess there, which I'm relatively confident about. Templuorum. Then we, of course, we have the dative, denitive, and the ablatives to go. I think the plural here, again, matches the masculine instance. And again, this is starting to get a little bit more wild in my guess. I'm waiting to watch the chat for all the people going, no, it's actually this. I want to say that they're both templis. And normally in the masculine it would be that. Again, I'm starting to get confident here. Now, the genitive, I think, takes on the feminine here. So I think it's actually going to be templi, rather. Again, I'm not sure. And the dative and the ablative, I'm uncertain whether they're the same. I wonder if it's templo. What have you got at home? For those who aren't Latin teachers or are practicing Latin or still give it a go, what have you got? What have you got in your table right now for declining this neuter second declension word templum, meaning temple? That's fairly easy to derive. I'm very confident, of course, on the nominative, quite confident on the plural, which adopts the feminine ending. I'm pretty confident about the genitive plural, which is the exact same as the masculine genitive plural here. And then everything starts to fall away. I'm pretty happy about the accusative. I know that because it ends in M, it matches and it stays the same for the accusative, so that's the same there. And then the others are a wild guess, adopting the same as the masculine, except for the genitive here, which I believe takes on the feminine form. So the genitive singular of a neuter second declension word should be templi. That's my guess. All right, if there's no outrageous declarations from the peanut gallery or in the chat here, let's go ahead and check our answers down the bottom here. We're going to hit the check answers button and let's see how much red we get. Okay, we got two wrong. So let's go through the ones that we got wrong and work it out. Okay, so I was right to suggest that the genitive was something different, but it is the same as the masculine. It's templi with an I. It's the same as the masculine, okay. Where the feminine came in again was in fact the plural accusative, which was templa. Okay, we were close. So we just think for the singular, everything is the same for masculine, but when we obviously try the accusative, it's already got the M at the end, so it'll stay the same as the nominative. But everything else is the same as the masculine. It's, in the plural, it's a little bit different. So the nominative is going to have the feminine A, and of course the accusative is going to have the feminine A the same. That should be the prompter for us. That should be the reminder when we work with the neuter. And of course, we're pretty confident with the genitive plural, the ORUM ending, that's going to be the same as the masculine, and this IS ending for the dative ablative form is quite common through all the words first and second declension, so that should be easiest for us to remember. Alright, not bad. Two wrong is not bad. We should be getting better at this stage. But yeah, the neuter is a new one for tonight. Alright, we've just hit 10 PM locally. Let's do another 58, 59, 60 minutes. Let's finish off with a half an hour. Let's see if we can do another little bit more of one of our units here. Let's see how far we can get. And allow some more Roman discussion, whether it be citizenship registration, as we're seeing in the chat here, or talking about poetry, or the classics, or the Latin language, or how to say laugh out loud, or how to laugh in general, in Latin. What about Latin onomatopoeia? Onomata what, some of you say? Onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia is the name given to the group of words that describe sounds. Onomatopoeia. So the cow goes moo. The moo is a word from onomatopoeia. It's a word that describes a sound, and an onomatopoeia is different for nearly every language. So in English, for a sneeze, we say achoo. We write it as ACHO, and we say achoo when we're trying to, fake a sneeze or represent the sound in words of what a sneeze, or how a sneeze is spelled. How do you spell sneeze? The sound of sneeze. That's what we say in English. But in, say, Bahasa, which is Indonesian, they say hatsi. And I think there's some dissimilarities to Japanese as well. They say hatsi in Bahasa. That is their onomatopoeia in Bahasa, in their language, for a sneeze. And that's a little bit different from the English achoo. So I'd be very interested to learn about Latin onomatopoeia. Who knows any Latin onomatopoeia? While we cut out our auxiliary unit here on the chopping board. Let's not take too much of his scutum off there. I just want to get that little white edge off. There we go. For those wondering, the music you hear in the background is DCMA free. It is license free, and it's able to be shared live on stream here and on YouTube, although YouTube may automatically pick up potentially because it sounds like something. But very important that we do not infringe on both Twitch terms of service and, of course, copyright law. That we only use music that we are, in fact, either entitled to, we've created ourselves, or is license-free in the free domain. And this is actually a DCMA free playlist off Spotify of some easy listening variety. Always please confirm your sources if you are also a streamer. It's fun. It's fun streaming. A lot of people are getting into it now, playing all sorts of various games. Of course, this channel is all about Roman-themed content. Sometimes we'll play Roman games. Often we'll be studying Latin or discussing Roman history or Roman tradition or Roman politics even. Or particularly talking about our parent symbolic nation, our parent organisation, Nova Roma, which is celebrating its 23rd birthday today. Happy birthday to Nova Roma. A marvellous happy day, start of the Ludio Romani. We've posted to our Facebook group and Facebook page about the start of the Ludio Romani, if you'd like to join us there. You can watch, I guess, live some of the events as they're posted about from our Dilis Karoulis, who hosts a good game. And we've seen some of his events in the past, and I've always been very much delighted by the activities. Who knows? I might even, if there's some gladiatorial battles, I might even enter one of my gladiators that I've been training as a, what's the term, a lanista? I got that term from Spartacus, is that right? A lanista who trains gladiators? Or at least manages gladiator slaves? Lanista. Very good. Who else has watched Spartacus here? Anybody? I think most people have watched Spartacus, haven't they? Usonius has asked if anybody would be interested if he was to give a talk in the Discord after this stream is done. Certainly. If you're wanting to share some of your skills and your knowledge and some of your passions about the ancient world and things partly related to Rome, please do. And if you're watching this stream live right now, by all means jump into our Discord afterwards and let's continue the discussion. So you can find the Discord link below in the About section on this channel. Just look for the Discord symbol. Looks like a little bot. Reminds me of the Android symbol, actually. Look for the little blue Discord guy and click that link and you can join in our Nova Roma Discord server. Plenty of channels in there to talk about all sorts of various topics. One of the popular ones actually at the moment is the and I can't pronounce it in Latin, but it's the channel on Roman coins. Because every day they are finding hundreds and hundreds of ancient Roman coins from different periods of time during the Roman era, and each reveals a little piece of history or the prominence of certain individuals. Plenty of collectors out there. I've only got a few dozen myself. I was actually very fortunate to be gifted some coins from a fellow Roman legionary in one of the groups here in the good state of Victoria, and he actually brought some of these coins back from the Chittenberg Forest, which we know which was quite a devastating battle for the Roman Empire under Augustus, with Varro, and I guess for those watching the is it the Barbarians series on Netflix right now, which looks at that mostly from the Germanic side, but it looks at that particular engagement with the Romans in the Chittenberg Forest, if I've pronounced that correctly. I hope I haven't butchered that pronunciation. Some coins from that area, which is very special. And I haven't known this individual quite long, so it was very special to receive some of those. So I counted that as my first legionary pay, because I participate in a local group here known as Legio Ten Fratesis, which is hosted by Ancient Roman Reenactors Victoria. You can actually look them up online. We've got, again, the links down the About section of the channel here, ancientrrv.com, if I'm not mistaken. Confirm that and just look down in the About section below here, and I'll put that on our YouTube channel in the description. And they are one of the biggest and perhaps probably the most accurate Roman Legion reenactment groups in Australia. And I'm honoured to be a part of their group, and Nova Roma is proud to be a partner of theirs in Australia and in the state of Victoria. And we are doing lots of work to celebrate Romanatus, the Roman way and the Mos Maiorum, studying all things about Rome and Roman history and Roman Latin. Clothing, military history in particular, of course, that is their speciality. So if you're looking to do a series of practical activities, yes, look up in the state of Victoria, Ancient Roman Reenactors Victoria, ARV, as they like to call themselves. There we go. I'm having a sip of tea. That's why I'm taking a break. I notice people are commenting on my commentary. I do talk a lot. As they say in Australia, I'm not sure if the sayings permeate globally, but there's a saying that we definitely use in Australia and New Zealand, which we could say is talks a leg off an iron pot. Or they say iron pots are falling over everywhere, implying that a leg has fallen off an iron pot. Why it's an iron pot, I'm not sure of the history, but that is the description we use when somebody talks a lot. Maybe the channel might be a little bit more boring if I wasn't talking, or maybe you prefer if I'm not talking and listen to the free music in the background. It's very peaceful. Whenever I'm studying or doing some Roman activities or undertaking my provincial governor duties, I do like to put on a little bit of music. I particularly like to put in some Roman-themed music, something that would perhaps echo to anything musically from the ancient period of Rome, using particular instruments, or Roman feeling music. There's a little bit in Spartacus, I've noticed. Who knows the name of some of the instruments from the Roman time, besides the... hang on, we'll put up one of our units again. Besides the cornu player, the trumpet-like device here, quite long. Do they come in various forms? Are they always that long and circular? Yeah, fascinating instrument. What other instruments are people aware of from the ancient Roman period? Any period, the Kingdom, the Republic, or the later Empire period, which of course also lasted a long time. It's fascinating studying music from all areas of history, from various cultures as well. And certainly the Roman music is no different. Okay, so we've now finished the second rank of our second base here of our auxiliary units. Looks pretty good to me. All the Hasta is in fairly good strength. Nothing's bent. Not much white space there. I'm pretty happy with that cut. That's pretty good. Okay, so now we've done that. Let's go back over to the other side of the screen. And let's do some practicing, more declining practices of some Latin nouns. So we're looking at second declension words, and let's hit the new word button and see what we've got. We have nasus. Okay, I just learnt this word the other day. So I'm studying Latin, and so is Agricola, who's in the channel right now, laughing at me, I think. And we just learnt this word in the latest chapter, chapter 5 of a book series called Lingua Latina per se illustrata. This is a fantastic book series. Now, I've only got the ebooks, but Agricola has just got the hard copies. He got from, I think it's bookdepository.com. He found them for a good price. So I'm going to go there next myself and buy these books and the companion guide that goes with it. And the fascinating thing about these books is they are completely written entirely in Latin. So there's no other language in there to guide you. Now, even the tips and the margins, I guess, is still using Latin, right? But it is written in such a way that it helps you to deduce the meaning and the definition of words and introduces to you the grammar and how to use it. So it starts off very much like a children's book. You know, it says, this is Italy, Italy's in Europe, where is Italy? Italy is in Europe. You know, it poses questions and answers in a particular format, slowly introduces vocabulary and new grammar, and eventually you find yourself reading entire pages which you know are all in Latin, and you're understanding it, and that's helping you to then be able to write in Latin and then eventually speak it. It provides both some fill the blanks at the end of the chapters as well as some questions which you can then answer in Latin as well. And you can get the teacher's guide as well as the companion guide, which are in fact have English in them, and that can help you to really make sense of what you're reading. So look it up, Lingua Latina per se illustrata. I think the author is Oberg. Somebody type in chat. Agricola, what's the name of the author again? But please, if you're looking for a new, fresh way to study Latin or pick up and grow your vocabulary, I tell you what, Lingua Latina is the way to do it. I wish I discovered this much earlier. Oh, cool, the books are on eBay too, apparently, Brenda says. Oberg. Oerberg. Thank you, Lentless. I'm butchering his pronunciation of that name, no doubt, as well. So that's how myself and Agricola have currently been learning. And with the help of Hortensia Faustina, our good senatrix in our community, acting as our magistra, she is acting as our teacher and helping us and guiding us through that book as well. And one of the things that both Agricola and I have to practice is the declination or declining of nouns, and that's what we're doing here on this side of the screen right now. And we have the word nasus, which means nose. So, okay, let's see how well we do here. We're going back to a more masculine word, so let's not confuse ourselves with the new pattern we just learnt for the neuter. So, of course, we're going to have nasus in the nominative here. We know the genitive is going to have the I, so we're going to say, I think, now this is interesting, we dropped the US, I think it's going to be nasi. Like nasi goreng? Who eats nasi goreng here? Now, it's very popular in Australia. I guess it's the university students' food of choice. Yeah, Lentless was quick. He's obviously quite familiar with perhaps many Latin texts. Nasi, does that mean noodle in some other language? Goreng, nasi goreng. That's it, that's the genitive. Okay, and then let's move on. So therefore, we know that the plural here should be the same, nasi. Very good. And nasum, I think, is going to be the accusative. Again, that random M throwing on the end of the word helps us to identify the accusative for most the first and second declension. And I think I've got that right. So we're going to keep the U in there for the word to look correct. Nasum. Okay, so let's go to the genitive. We're generally pretty confident about the genitive plural here. So that should be nasuorum. Let me check that. I don't think I want to put the U back in. That doesn't look right to me.
No matter how big or small
nasorum,
the business is, making your own app on Spotify Ad Studio is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
That doesn't quite look right. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that spelling at the moment. So far, let's see if the rule holds, and if it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. But let's go with that. And then we should be able to do the dative and the ablative should be the same, so that should be nasor with an O. And then we have the accusative, which is generally pretty easy for us to remember. That should be nasos, OS ending. One extra letter compared to the ablative dative. And then this should follow the usual pattern of nasis. N-A-S-I-S. There we go. There we go. So, interesting. So, yeah, Lentless is pointing out a couple of verbs, actually, in the chat. We got redeo, corredeo, and surdeo. Each of them meaning I do something. So we got, I guess, I laugh out loud is one of them. I should know what orideo means. I've seen that verb before. Yeah, look, Agricola's like, I know that word. I should know what that means. Alright, I'm having some tea. Oop, bump the microphone. Very loud. Okay, so let's see how we did here. So we are now declining the second declension word nasus over here on the left-hand side of the screen. Which means nose. Oh, there we go. So let's come back in the chat. So rideo means I laugh. Corrideo means I laugh together or strongly or out loud, as we've been talking about before. And conrideo, together plus laugh, is really the definition. Or surdeo, I under laugh. I laugh in a distinguished way. I smile, sub, under, plus rideo, I laugh. Interesting. So some interesting combinations here. So Eusonius is offered, so does that mean a small laugh? Oh yeah, a smile. Right, apparently in Italian, Agricola said, right, so naso is nose in Italian. There we go. So there's some more link back to our Italian language as well. Diminished. Way not distinguished. Did I say distinguished before, did I? Very good. Okay, I just had another sip of tea. So let's see how we did. We're going to go check our answers over here now. For the word nasus, which means nose, let's see how we did. So masculine, second declension word. Here, check answers. Yay! Optime. Yeah, to answer your question, Lentless, I think when you write in all caps, I don't think it likes it. It's it's a feature that I can turn off. I apologise if you were trying just to write something in Latin in caps or something. It's the default moderator has just gone up. Yeah, it's pinging. It's pinging. For some reason, it doesn't like caps. I think Usonius has tried as well. I might turn that off in a future stream, so you can actually write in caps, because that's important for Latin. So I apologise if you're trying to write in caps. Yeah, nasty Streamlabs. I wonder if I can revive it. Can I? Hang on, I might be able to edit the chattings on the fly, so I can pick it up over here. I don't know, I'll look at that later. See if I can find the settings. Who knows where the settings are for capitals? I might be able to turn that off. That's alright. Wow, so it actually deletes the entire message as if you do it in caps. Wow. Oh dear. Yeah, because I can't see it at my end. At least. Oh, and apparently it times you out. Has it been timing you out? Oh boy. Gee, it's a harsh. The auto Streamlabs moderator. Calm down. Oh dear. All right. So apparently we've learned not to. It's timed out. Hang on. I better fix this. I don't want my good people being timed out. Let's have a look. Okay, good. Lentulus is in. Oh, he wrote it for a long time too. No! We did lose a lot of work. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. How do you say sorry in Latin? I have to get Streamlabs, the automatic bot, here to say sorry for destroying all that good work. Not on the birthday of Nova Roma. Come on. What are you doing, Streamlabs? What are you doing, Streamlabs? Oh, dear. Okay. So we did. All right, so let's go back over to Declensions here while we recover from this loss of a lot of work in the chat. So it looks like we got them all right. I'm all in the black. I've done well. I'm happy about that. Okay, let's continue to cut on our next piece here of auxiliary unit. Again, remembering to fold the base underneath so you don't make the mistake I did and accidentally cut the base. And we're going to continue to, again, we're going to start on the right hand side. Just be careful as you cut, you don't hit the huster or the peeler or the weapons, the spears of the unit that you're cutting. So for those who have just joined or weren't here at the start, so these paper soldiers and paper units, because these paper armies and all the terrain features are from an artist and a designer by the name of Peter Dennis. He's based out of the UK and he runs a little business, I guess, and a Facebook page and a website called Peter's Paper Boys or Pete's Paper Boys. You can look him up on Facebook. I think it's the Paper Boys page. And if you look up his website, Pete's Paper Boys. And through Helion and Company, and I'll bring this back up on screen now, bring this over the left-hand side. So this is the booklet that we're working from. So it's just a PDF you can buy and purchase online. And if you Google Helion and Company and War Game, it'll bring up a whole bunch of these. So look up Helion and Company into Google, and that will allow you to check out all these various titles from different areas of history, and he's continuing to design and add more paper soldiers every day and different terrain and features. So of course we're doing the Roman one here, but Roman invasion booklet, but there's ones from the American Civil War, the Jacobite, the Spanish Armada. Phenomenal detail. Many hours of fun. Peter Dennis is an extraordinary individual, and there's some rules that you can actually battle with these as well in a tabletop battle. Rules written by Andy Callan, and these are all-inclusive books. So if you purchase these books, they're about 13 or 14 pound. So whatever that translates to in your local currency. You can get an entire booklet which gives you 2 armies. So for the Roman invasion booklet, you'll get both the Britons or the local islanders as well as the invading Roman forces. And if we scroll down through the book here, it shows the instructions on how to make them, as well as all the actual unit pieces themselves. So you'll just print these straight off in colour, cut them out, and so these ones even give you different shields that you can customize the units as well, which is great. Some slingers, some javelin throwers from the local tribes, cavalry units. So this is all, I guess, the Roman enemies here. Chariots, uses of chariots there. Some command strips, very good. And then we get into the Roman side. So that's a good image of some completed Roman soldiers. So we've done both the front units here and actually some of the auxiliaries in the second rank. I think actually I'm even going to do archers next, which is pretty cool. And you can see some of the Roman strips. And there's a couple of different theme designs. So you've got the red scutums with white togas, or you can have white scutum shields with red toga. And as you can see here, you've got the standard strips, like these ones here, but then you get to pick the front ranks, as I pointed out before. So you can either have them throwing pila or have them with their gladiuses out, gladii. So Agricola has asked, how many have I made now? So I've made an entire cohort of Roman legionnaires. And if I pull up our unit again here we go. So this theme, so I've made an entire cohort. So for those in chat, as a quick quiz, how many is in a cohort, and what's in a cohort? So we know there are sentries in a cohort. There are normally 6 sentries in a cohort, and a sentry contains a sentry normally means 100, but there's usually only about 80 men in a sentry, each headed by a centurion, and then within a century, I guess it's made up of 8 contubernium, which is groups of 8 men. And they normally resided in a single tent called a contubernium, oddly enough. Usually 6 were sleeping and 2 were on picket duty at any one time, if they were in camp, that is. Yes, right, and there were 6 sentries in a cohort, and there are normally 10 cohorts in an entire legion. So I am eventually looking to create an entire legion of units here, which would be awesome if I can do that, but I need the space to set them all up. I'm already running out of table space. I'm building a Roman encampment on the table behind me. I'm going to hopefully post some photos for you all later. Maybe I can cut them into the video when I edit this later for YouTube, and you can see just how much my table force is growing of Romans of the 1st century AD. And it's coming along quite nicely. I'm impressed by how authentic it all looks, and the terrain in particular. I showed some of you the terrain at the beginning. Some of my favourites are things like these, even the Greek houses here. So this is a Greek designed house. If I turn that the right way, these are modular, so you can design them any way you like. You can put the doors and the windows as you desire. So you can see I've added this module on the side for this particular house. Even the columns here, which are quite awesome. So these are just pieces of paper that are just glued, rolled up and glued. Use a bit of PVA glue to glue it to the base here. A little bit of glue underneath for the roof. That's just flat paper glued on some more paper. Now this is slightly thicker paper here, so it's on 200 GSM base. Glued down on the base here, and all the walls and the roofing, etc., are all about 160 GSM, just to provide that little bit of extra rigidity and strength. You can see my balcony is a bit wonky there. That's all right. It makes it look a little bit rustic and olden. See the door there? You can glue for this particular design, you can glue the windows and doors as you like. So this is the final design that I chose. So this is one of Peter Dennis's work as well. You can pick from his website, petespaperboys.com. And I think for this Greek house, I think it's only like £3 for the whole couple of sheets to design this. And it even gives you some basic instructions about how to put it together. But you've got a little bit of liberty about how you did that. You could give that building some extra dimension, Brenda, yes. Some extra roof tiles, yeah, absolutely. You could add some thickness, some dimension even to that as well. So that's quite good. Of course, one of the other pieces which I've delighted in making, I've got 3 of these now, is these Roman scorpion ballistas, scorpions, or ballista. They fire the bolts. So some light artillery. Look at that, it's quite hardy, didn't even break. They fire some light bolts, some light artillery to complement my force. And these are made out of some very fine paper pieces there. It's a shame that the camera's quality isn't that good and you can't get a decent look at that. Yeah, you can make the doors open even. You can even recess the doors into that outer wall courtyard too, which is really good, Brenda. Yeah. And yeah, so it's a little bit finicky, but it's possible to be done with a little bit of glue and some slightly thicker paper. You can make these units, and they have 2-dimensional artillery pieces as well. So you've got some options if you wanted to be able to fold them down like the main units. There we go. Okay, so put that down, and then of course I mentioned the terrain, some of the terrain before as well. So this has to be one of the trees, a pine. I actually think this comes from a different book set. It's actually made up of really 1.5 trees. You take one tree, score it down the middle, bend it back about 60 degrees, and then you get a third half piece to make a stand, if you like, and glue that in. You can see my strip of glue down the middle here, and that creates a little bit of dimension to it. And then I've got a couple of layers of 200 GSM paper on the base. The instructions actually suggest you glue it over a coin, like a penny or a 5-cent piece, to provide even some more weight to the bottom of these trees. But I found a couple of thick pieces of paper glued together. Creates a fairly sturdy base as well. You just got to remember that these aren't outdoor pieces. Wind will blow it away. Not an outdoor game. And obviously these aren't going to fold down particularly well. So I've got quite a few trees now, so I can hopefully post these up later to complete my scenery for the background of my Roman camp. For all the units that we are creating here. And yeah, so now that I've done a cohort of Roman legionaries, I've got a cohort inbound for some auxiliaries. So I've got quite a few already over on the sides here in a couple of command strips, and they start to number in appearance. So I've already done a few. So I've got 6 of units with a centurion front rank, and you can see that slight difference there. So you can see the Cornu player, Centurion, Signifer, and Optio for this auxiliary unit. And so one of these per set of 6, which makes up, I guess, a century of the auxiliary unit. And so I have 6 of those command little bases now, and now I'm starting to build all the standard men for the auxiliary now, and there'll be another 5 to add to each of those centuries to make up my full cohort of auxiliaries. And that'll be one step closer to building up my entire legion. So it's definitely going to take me a little bit longer, but it's a little bit relaxing to do in your downtime. Make paper soldiers. I guess you do get a sense of achievement for finishing it off. I guess like any sort of hobby where you're creating figures, but instead of painting like you have done with some 3D plastic or metal metallic figurines that are out there, which can be quite expensive. These ones here, we just happen to be cutting them out, which in its own right is a bit of an art form. Some people have different ways. A lot of people prefer very small scissors. It's actually a little bit easier on the hands when you use the scissors. You can see here my scissors are actually quite big and can actually provide a lot of stress on the units as you navigate around, particularly some of the delicate parts here. So that's why I've opted for the cutting blade. But I might invest in a proper cutting mat, one that's self-healing, and that's a little bit bigger than this old chopping board that I have here. And I'll also invest in a smaller pair of crafting scissors, which should be able to give my hand a bit of a break from this cutting. There we go. Like so. So who else in the channel right now hasn't shared their story about how they came to find a love or an interest in ancient Rome? I'd love to hear your story. Mine, as I talked about before, was based on a board game called The Roman Republic. The edition that I played was published by Valley Games in 2009. Out of print now, but you can occasionally get a new copy, and it's probably about $200 to $300. Not cheap, but there is a lot to it. Lots of tokens, lots of cards, many hours of playing time. And for those that are in chat that have played that with me will certainly attest to both the complexity but the duration it takes. Not a game for the light-hearted, and you've really got to hope that your host certainly knows a thing or two. If you go to boardgamegeeks.com, they actually have forums on there where people still play this game online, normally by email. But there's a good contact of mine who has been watching this stream in the past, where we actually hosted and played. And you can actually see where we've hosted this game online before through the Roll20 virtual tabletop. So go to our YouTube channel, Australia Nova Roma, and you can watch one of the playlists there is the previous playthrough that we hosted online of this board game, The Roman Republic, and see how our various factions did and who won in the end. I actually think they all lost, oddly enough, all the players. I think there's too many wars for our players to handle, and then Rome suffered. So we've got some daggy bits on that piece of paper here. I'm just trying to cut out the glue in this particular spot did some wacky things. If I get a clean cut in there, yeah, that's better. Okay, that's good. Continue to tidy up that huster, make a nice sharp point as you cut, whether that be with your blade or your scissors, like so. Nearly done for this guy here, cutting around his shoulder. Just be careful if you are using a blade, not so terrible if you're using scissors, but if you're using a loose, uncontrolled blade like I am now, there is always the risk that you could slip and cut a finger or a nail or something like that. It's bad enough if you cut where you're not supposed to, let alone an appendage. So be very careful. Get to know your chopping surface or your cutting surface, what sort of friction or grip that it provides for your work as you cut. Okay, let's see how we did there. Usonius asked the question, some people can read Latin fluently here, right? And yes, there are a few. We saw Gnaeus Cornelius Lentulus before. He is most certainly an individual that can read, speak and write Latin quite well, as was our good Magistra and Senatrix Hortensia Faustina. She also is quite very proficient, that's poor grammar, is very efficient in her use of Latin as well. Myself and Agricola, who's also been in the channel this evening, we're just practicing, so we can't read full Latin. We can tell you things like nose and slave and island and whether it's large or small. And that's about the extent of it. Or maybe potentially identify what declension, what group it falls into for a noun. That's about the extent of our knowledge, but hopefully we'll build on that as time goes on. Just tidying up some of the cuts here with this guy. That's looking better. Okay, good. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So we've got our second and third rank now for our second base there. That looks pretty good to me. Now let's double check we have a unit ready to fly here. Yeah, we could have this guy, we could have a new guy. But we can definitely glue a base on. We'll do that next. Alright, so let's go back to our here we go. Back to our declension of nouns. So we're going to go to this side of the screen over here now. Before we do that, we can read what Agricola has to say about his interest in Rome. So he goes, my interest in Rome started playing Rome Total War, and then fell in love with the city when he visited in 2014, and he loved it so much he even went back in 2015. Wow, there you go. I would hope to one day visit Rome in Italy. That would be a dream of mine. Perhaps maybe once all this COVID has passed, that would perhaps be the safest option. Yes. That's good. And Usonius is continuing to share some cultural material with us. It's fantastic. It's been great since Usonius has come along. Come and check out some of his things that he's been working on from poetry and the classics in the Discord. Check out our Discord link in the About section below if you haven't already. I think Usonius is going to host a little bit of a chat, a little bit of a session on the Discord after this maybe. So you can head in there and see what we're all about. You don't have to be a citizen or no Roman to be in our server. All are welcome if you've got an interest in anything to do with ancient Rome, whether it be food, clothing, language, military, history, culture, poetry, the arts. All awesome. We love to talk about it all. That's what we're all about, learning about ancient Rome, whatever aspect fascinates you. So, back over to here, we're declining nouns. Let's click a new word. Second declension word. Oh boy, here we go. So we have vestigium, which apparently means footprint, and I'm hoping I'm not butchering the pronunciation, but this is a neuter second declension noun, vestigium, as opposed to vestigium. It's always a hard G in Latin, vestigium, and then it is neuter, so we're going to see some slightly different pattern here as we fill out the table. So write this down for yourself at home on a piece of paper. Vestigium means footprint, second declension, neuter noun. We know what the nominative is here, so let's straight away write that in. That's always easy. Vestigium, straight away we know what the accusative is going to be, because normally we slap an M on the end, but because it's already got one, it's going to stay the same. So that's also going to be the same, vestigium. I'm just looking in the chat, the long titles of some pieces. Yeah, it's quite long. Hopefully, it's a shame you can't see chat. I'm going to have to work out a way to show chat on the stream for those watching this in YouTube in the future. But if you are watching this on YouTube, please come to our Twitch channel, Os Nova Roma. So twitch.tv/Os Nova Roma. If you are watching this in the distant future on YouTube, the chat's been really good tonight. I've been really impressed about all the discussion that's been going on. People sharing their stories about ancient Rome and their passions for ancient Rome. It's wonderful. On today, the 23rd birthday of Nova Roma. Happy birthday to Nova Roma. Special day. All right. We're over here on the left-hand side of the page. We are currently trying to decline this second declension, neural noun, vestiguum, meaning footprint. We know what the nominative is. We know what the accusative. It'll be the same when we slap the M on. Let's do the plural and genitive, which we should know, which should be the I. Where, hang on, no, this is the Romana cells. This is a neural noun, so it's different. So we're going to see the more of a feminine ending here for the plural. And let's get our spelling right. Vestigui. Vestigui. And therefore the, is that right? No, it should be vestigua. I don't think it's I. That's better. It should be vestigua. Vestigia. Vestigia. Let's think about the pronunciation. Somebody's going to correct me in chat here in a minute. Vestigia. Vestigia. I'm going to make sure I get all the I's in my pronunciation there. Have some more tea. Clear the vocal cords. Vestigia. And therefore we knew that was going to feature again down here somewhere, which I think is actually the accusative. I'll have to double check, but that should be the first name, vestigia. The genitive we know is going to be the same as the masculine. That is going to be an I. Vestigui. I think it's a double I here. Vestigi. Yeah, here we go. As Lensler says, for the birthday, all together shouting hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray. To the new Roman Commonwealth. Absolutely. Happy 23rd birthday to Nova Roma today. Start of the Ludi Romani. Join us on our Facebook page, Os Nova Roma, or the main Nova Roma page. You can look up novaroma.org as well. Come and watch all the events of the Ludi Romani. Hey, why not get a free Nova Roma citizenship while you're at it? Follow the bouncing ball and the links on the novaroma.org website. Become a free citizen of Nova Roma today. Participate in all of our communities. Share your knowledge, what you learn. Let's all learn together about ancient Rome, and participate in the society of our symbolic nation, our living history. We are living the modern Rome of today with Nova Roma, one of the original international Roman Republic revivalist organisations globally, founded out of the east coast of the United States, and now with thousands of members past and present around the globe, including here in Provincia, Australia, which includes the modern nations of Australia and New Zealand. And we are here right now on the Os Nova Roma Twitch channel, cutting out some Roman paper soldiers in honour of the Nova Roma's birthday, and we are also declining some nouns in Latin of the first and second declension, practising our Latin as well, in honour of the Romanatus and the Mos Maiorum, following the way of our Roman ancestors. May we do them proud, and may we celebrate this wonderful birthday today. Very exciting. Most exciting indeed. Here on this Monday evening on the east coast of Australia, or coming into the mid to late afternoon Rome time. Special hello to all those in and around Italia. Great to have you on board. Of course, globally around the world, we've got viewers from Eastern Europe, from the US, coast to coast, as well as from Australia and New Zealand. It's great to have you all on board. If you haven't already, please follow the channel. It'll help us to grow the community. We're going to be adding more streamers to this channel over time. Going to have a streamer from Provincia Germania, from Germany. We're also going to have streamers from America. So there'll be scenes and Twitch live feeds from at all time zones that will suit your viewing pleasure, and where we can continue to discuss all things Roman here on the Twitch channel. Let's see what Brenda says here. Let's go to the chat. So Brenda says, for me, she thinks about ancient Rome, and her heart really beats fast. She feels a connection. She says, I can only put it down to my Italian ancestry. I remember loving watching the old movies about Rome on her old black and white TV, and she's been a member of other era groups, but they just weren't for her. So she really has a deep connection to all things Roman. Agricola reminds us that he was there in Rome in September of 15. He was in Europe, Belgium, and Germany for work, and added an extra week and stayed in Rome. Awesome! 300 meters from the Forum, he visited the Ostia, visited the tomb of the Scipii. That's plural. So we're declining words here that look familiar. That should be plural of Scipio. Is that right? But looking through the gate as it was locked. That's a shame. That's wonderful. That's so great that you got to visit the homeland, the ancestral home of Nova Roma. Okay, let's continue with our declension of nouns. I think I'm procrastinating as I go through this. So we know what the nominative is, vestigium, which means footprint. The nominative is going to be the same there. Because it is neuter, it's going to adopt the feminine plural nominative ending here, vestigia. And we've got the genitive vestigi for the genitive here. We know that the accusative is going to be the same as the nominative, vestigium, because it already has an M ending. And we subsequently know again for the accusative, it's going to be that same plural feminine ending. So let's go to the genitive plural. We're generally pretty confident about what that usually is. So it's going to be vestiguorum. I am not 100% confident about that I, that second I, as we listen to the standard COVID advertisement on the playlist in the background. Of course, this music this evening is DCMA free, license free, so we can actually play it here on Twitch without infringing on terms of service or copyright laws. Pretty important now for all streamers these days. In fact, you get some really fascinating music that is, in fact, DCMA free. It's actually pretty good. We're listening to an easy listening sort of vibe mix this evening, actually from Spotify. That's my source this evening. I've actually been pretty impressed. I've saved that to my Spotify playlist. Share your Spotify playlist. Who knows if there's any Roman Spotify playlist out there? If you've got a link to a Roman Spotify playlist, I'd love to feel about it. Love to feel about it, hear about it. I'd love to hear, see. I'd love to feel the music. You know, we're all about living it, so it would be good to feel the music. All right, again, I digress. Fall down a rabbit hole. Let's continue to decline our vestigium word here. So now we have the dative and the ablative, which are normally the same. That should be the same as the masculine singular in these cases, which usually ends in an O. So we're going to go vestiguor, and we'll do the same here. Vestiguor. And let's come back over here to the plural, and these normally will follow the pattern that was seen before. It should be vestiguis, vestigis. Now, I'm not confident on the spelling on vestigis, and I'm not confident on the spelling of vestigorum, whether that second I is included here, or whether we need a second I in here. But no, I've seen that. But again, we've been following the rule that if it looks wrong, it probably is. These look right to me. So let's see how we go. Let's hit that check answers button. Are you ready at home? Let's see how we go. Check answers. Oh, I've got a few wrong here. Look. We just talked about it, didn't we? We just talked about it. That second I was needed. So there is, in fact, that second I up here in the plural genitive. Vestigiorum. It was an inherent part of the word here. Should have followed the gut instinct. And we do, in fact, need that second I here because it is part of that base word. Vestigis. Vestigis. For both the dative and the ablative plural here. Okay, but, you know, we highlighted it. We thought about it. We just happened to pick the wrong of the 50-50 there. But we do, in fact, need that second I. And we do see this frequently in Latin. We see this double I come up a lot, particularly as we decline nouns or seek to conjugate certain verbs. So it is not uncommon. It is not uncommon. But, right, so the neuter words we have been practicing. So that's been fascinating. So we're now, we're nearly at 10 to 11 p.m. local time here in Australia, but I'm having a good time. How about you guys all in the chat? Yeah, there's about 7 viewers on there at the moment. That's not bad. That's not bad for this channel. I really don't want to cut off the stream yet because it's people have been doing all sorts of work and celebrating in the chat this evening. People have been sorting out their enrolments as a citizen of Nova Roma, or discussing poetry, or discussing how to laugh in Latin. Or discussing, their connections to ancient Rome, or where they've been travelling, as there's the discussion right now. It's been fantastic. And that's exactly what this Roman Twitch channel is all about. So if you're watching this on YouTube as well, please come to the Twitch channel as well, twitch.tv/OsnovaRoma if you're watching this in the future. Hit that follow button, help us grow the community. It's been wonderful. So to draw it out a little bit further, let's take ourselves to the top of the hour. We're at the middle of the afternoon Rome time. Let's do one more declination over here. So we're on the left hand side of the screen. Let's hit a new word, and we're going to do the word caelum, means heaven. As we ascend to the heaven, probably a good finish perhaps for this evening. So let's do the nominative. We know what that is. Caelum. So it's a neuter, second declension word. So there will be some feminine-looking elements to as we go through the declining process here. The genitive is going to be the same as the second declension masculine, so it's going to be kaili. Hopefully we're pronouncing that correctly. And then we're going to know the accusative is going to remain the same because it already has it in there, kailum. Genitive plural is usually pretty happy with, so it's going to be kailorum. Kailorum. Great. That should be kaila. Oh, hang on. Make sure I type on screen. Kaila. That will also be the plural accusative as well. Kaila. And the dative and ablative is going to be the same, ending in O. That'll be C-A-E-L-O, Kailo, C-A-E-L-O, Kailo. And then, of course, the plural here following the same masculine second declension and first declension patterns for the feminine, Kailis, C-A-E-L-I-S. This one is a little bit easier. No weird second I in there. So let's just double check our work. The kailum nominative, the A feminine ending for the plural because it is the neuter originally, kaila. Same as the masculine in the singular for the genitive, so kaili. We're going to add the I on the instead of the um. And then we see the same as the masculine for the plural, genitive kailorum. The dative and the ablative should be the same with an O ending for the second declension. That'll be kailo. And then we see the same pattern for adopting the masculine second declension kailis for both the plural dative and the plural ablative. And that just leaves us with the accusative, slap an M on, so therefore it doesn't change. That's our rule we remember, so same kailum. And then of course the plural accusative here, again kaila, same as the plural nominative. There we go. There we go. We've done some more declension. There we go, that's fantastic. We've done a good session this evening. We're a little bit closer to the hour, so let's go ahead and glue this base on here. We can do that right now. So we're going to line that up, grab our clear glue, zoom that in like so, grab our high-tech applicator, a paddle pop stick. I asked the question before, anybody outside of Australia and New Zealand, what do you call these? You can buy these in craft shops, or if you're like me, you know, people you know eat ice creams or something. And these are a byproduct of the consumption of said ice creams or ice blocks, and they make great crafting tools, as in this case. So we're going to just use our modified applicator here, our high-tech applicator, and we're just going to just evenly distribute this clear glue over the base, so we'll leave no dry spots. Very good. Put that to one side. We're going to grab our base here, lining it up so the length is this way at the moment. So we're going to orientate our base this way, and we're just going to level that down now. Now it is a slow drying glue, so we've got an opportunity to course correct as we place it down, leaving a little bit of overlap left and right there on your screen. Just push that a little bit to the left. Just have a brief look there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the overlap each side. Good, so that's got good positioning. We're now going to take two of our high-tech tools here, our paddle pop sticks, and we're going to place these either side of each rank, or at least the two ranks that we've got there, push them through to make sure each part of the material makes contact with the glue on the base and stays where it should. And we'll come to this side as well and flatten that down. Alright, let's have a look at that. Gently pick that up and have a look. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We're just going to encourage that piece down there. Excellent. And let's look at the other side. Good. Alright. We've got our second and third rank on the base there now. And now we're just going to eventually, the next step would be to pick a front rank. I think I want to cut out a different front rank because we want to make sure that we alternate through all the different types of men here. So this one here matches that second rank, so we won't do that one. And this rank that I've already cut out here meets what looks similar to the third rank. So we want one that we haven't seen yet, which will be this one, and so we're going to cut that out next and put it on the front to get a little bit of variety in our unit. But while we wait to cut that out, we can certainly glue and fold the ends over here for it to grip the base. So we'll just encourage the fold over first, train in the paper to make it easier to glue down. That's one side. Gently fold over the other. Of course, you can make it easier using a blunt knife, as we did before, to score the paper right along the edge there. And that will make it easier to fold over. In fact, for any other part of the folding process here, I'd very strongly encourage that to get the accuracy of when you do in fact fold it over. Because these are in fact double-sided, these units, which gives them their thickness and their strength as well. There we go. So Brenda said that eBay calls them wooden craft sticks. Paddle pop or popsicle, coffee stirrers or ice cream. Yeah, okay. Brenda says, I'm so glad no one can hear me laugh. Why? Do you have a Latin or Italian sounding laugh, do you? What does that sound like? What is that in onomatopoeia? Can you spell your laugh in chat? Can you spell your laugh in chat? You know, it's very fascinating. Language and things like laughing as well. If you spend enough time around people, some people are highly susceptible to adopting the laugh of certain people around them. You know, I think I've seen it before with people that I've hung out with a lot or people that I know, and I end up picking up traits of their laugh. Maybe because I found their laugh so fascinating, and maybe subconsciously I mimicked it, or maybe even consciously. I think I have seen that before. It's interesting analysing people's laughs. Sometimes if it's quite funny, it can make you laugh as well. What is the name? There's a comedian. He's a British comedian. He does Countdown. I forget his name. Somebody jump in the chat and remind me what it is. He's got a laugh which is very, very unique. What's he go? Jim something? I want to say it's Jim something. Brenda says, no, it's not an Italian or Latin laugh. She just laughs a lot. That's good. Means you're probably happy, right? Means you're probably happy that you're laughing. I'm pleased that you're either laughing with or at this channel and me and my presence here. That is a good outcome. Whether you're laughing with me or at me or somebody else in the chat, that's good. I'm pleased there is happiness and endorphins flowing on things that are Roman in nature. Okay, so we're going to grab our kitchen paper towel again here, use that to fold over the edge, and that'll help to absorb some of the glue and protect our fingers and help distribute some of the excess glue that'll pop out. That's perfect. That looks good to me. Good. And let's flip the other side over. Gentle there. Oh, look, I touched that. That's no good. That's all right. Use the kitchen towel again to flatten that down. Pat, 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 pat. Get rid of the excess glue. Gently peel that away. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks good. And now we can put the new front rank on shortly, but we'll let that dry. Put that over here. Now, we did one before. If I can remember where I put it. There it is. It's over here. We'll bring that back over in front of us. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim that side. So we talked about, it doesn't matter if you get some overlap at the sides. That side looks alright, but this side's got a little bit of overlap. But that's okay, because we can come along and we can trim that off now. Apparently I'm also funny. Okay. Well, that's good. You know, they say that perhaps there's a lot of intelligence in people that find humour in certain things or can tell jokes. Now, I'm not a particularly intelligent individual, but perhaps if you are finding the humour in certain things, then you are seeing things at a deeper level, perhaps, than most, or are able to attribute it to things that otherwise you find amusing, which is good. So as you can see here, I'm taking the blade and I'm using it to really cut down, finely down the side there, and just cut off that little excess bit there. And I'm going to come back in, maybe from this angle again. There we go. You know, like dad jokes, for example. I still find a lot of dad jokes, or I guess lame jokes, as some people call them. I still find them funny. Some people groan or eye roll when they hear particular dad jokes or something, or what they define as a dad joke. But I still find humour in a lot of that stuff. I guess I appreciate the effort sometimes when people attempt or try to be funny. You know, timing does play a role in in being funny sometimes, I think. I wonder how many comedians there were back in Rome. I guess there was a lot of performers. There was a lot of performers, and a lot of that was quite entertaining and hilarious to a lot of people who got to witness it. Wouldn't that be good to be able to watch it? And I guess some of those you could potentially call comedians. There we go. With another sip of tea, that will bring us to the hour. It is now 2300 hours or 11 p.m. here on Monday night here on the eastern seaboard of Australia, or a little bit later if you're observing us from New Zealand, our partner modern nation in provincial Australia of Nova Roma. It's been a great evening. I've had a great time. We've had quite a good viewership this evening. We have had a few new followers. If you haven't already followed, please hit that follow button. We'd love for you to help support this channel. We're going to add some more streamers over time at different time zones, so everybody can benefit and share in the Romanatus and Mos Maiorum and use the time to discuss what they like about Rome, as we've seen here this evening. So a big Walete Optime to everybody in the chat right now, or is watching this on the YouTube. It's been an absolute blast. We've had poetry, we've had Latin, we've had citizenship discussions, we've had how to laugh in Latin. It's been great. I've got some more work done on my auxiliaries for my Roman legion that I'm building from the 1st century AD, and I've done some really good practice of my Declensions. Head to the latinlibrary.com/DECL or Declension, where you can practice as well. Practice declining your nouns of various declension groups. It's been fantastic. And look, thanks to everybody. Happy birthday to Nova Roma. Happy 23rd birthday. Hope you all enjoyed the Ludi Romani. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to participating. I hope you get to participate as well. Please join us on, check us up on our links in the About section below. Check us out on Facebook, novaroma.org. However you want to connect with us, it'll be great to have you. Until next time, Walete.